We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate, speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV. We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate, speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV. We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate, speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV.
Amita pendwa ya vintu visume vyote kula kuibukisha kana depotimo wimbo wa temenu wa katongi abazunga batita katongi na kula kuibukisha kateka kaibuku buna kapona neseko siove pamenso yangu ama umebaya iyaba ume
Konke milimo shove
ale filamba yena minta pengo sile eti kume mokulo ndolola vale lilo wingi
iseko wingi mwakwete iseko wingi mwakwete Mwaya mwende wino tata wesu
Katushi muchi wakege Wali bomba kale Lomba mwatu jatuleli laki Mupanga na chiba
Penda Mupanga mwine Oya mwine
Ukula befyo wati dobuingi Ivisebo wapangiri okuingi Ukuchinjo lusako kumoneko busaka Mama Utituwa na basiani Chagwa katuse
The party friends and all. So I only lamented that why should you be stripping me of these things and then pushing me and saying, no, we want to protect you. No, you see, demeaning of the president to be seen, to be going without this or that. I said, I don't need you. You don't need me. So I was very clear. I've not complained at all. The time that I've complained is when I've been harassed. I said, you've stripped me of everything, but leave my liberty, my dignity, and my rights. That's what I'm saying even now. You see, 1 minute, I walk the street, somebody says you can't walk the street because you're a former president, you are in danger of being attacked and people might attack you and will be blamed as police. That's why we're following you. The next minute I said, but you mean you didn't know that I was former president when you stripped me of these things?
No, support from Southern Province. But some people, they have given up. When I go to Southern Province, now if someone from Southern Province can give up, are you telling me that someone from Osaka and Chingola can still love him? When you yourself who started loving him before these other provinces started loving him, you've given up. Some of them have, like me, have stopped loving him. Me and my family and other people, we've stopped loving him. Now you think if we can give up, I'm also Tonga, because when we Tonga, no Tonga, many Tonga were full time Mdala. But I have given up on supporting Hagainde because of my own reasons. So you think the reasons that the other people have for giving up on supporting Hagainde are not valid, such that the other people from other provinces, they cannot buy them. Let us learn to analyze politics. You must realize to say, Mdara, an election can be very disappointing. Ask the people of Kenya. Ask the people of Kenya. The person that won as a president, so let us be very careful as we talk. And let us be exposed. Not to look at the Tonabos was one southern province, who look at the Moena Momons, Mokala, now Kuri Womonzo. You and because that village supports Hagainde, you think now everyone else to support him. That is non-exposure. Let us be exposed. Why is it that people fail to deliver? They fail to deliver when the head is not functioning very well. If the head is not functioning, now training, you can't expect the trailers to start moving. These mayors, these MPs and councillors who are not performing, it's because Hagainde himself is a failure. Let us just face the reality. If Mr. Hijirema was not a failure, he was going, because he is aware that in Mazabuka, because the other time he was talking about roads, particularly about Mazabuka, he is aware that there is nothing going on in Mazabuka and he is quiet. It means that is how the West culture is. It's like Barry now is an entertainer who knows how to speak, entertaining people. No, he just entertains people through his...
The remains of the 6th president have at no point been in the physical custody of the government of Zambia. They were held by the South African Police Service throughout these few days which have passed in connection with their inquest. Secondly, the government of the Republic of Zambia has respected and will continue to respect every order issued by the courts. That is not a matter of convenience. It is a matter of principle. Thirdly, the question of how a former president of the Republic of Zambia is to be laid to rest is not closed by the latest court order. Dr. Lungu served as president of Zambia for 7 years. He was head of state, head of government, and commander-in-chief of our defense forces. The duty the Republic owes to that office is not extinguished by a single order on...
Monday, April 27th, 2026. Please share the broadcast and tell us in the comments where you are watching us from. Is the volume okay? Is the video okay? And I hope that you have network. We've had a momentous, literally traumatic, past few days. Today we're privileged to host Zambia Must Prosper President, Honorable Kelvin Fubebwalia, renowned lawyer in our country, and he leads the Zambia Must Prosper Party, and want to understand the state of the nation, their reactions to recent events. And we take advantage that he's a renowned lawyer. He walks us through how an inquest is done, how a postmortem is done, and if what has happened in South Africa is lawful or proper. On the side of the family, using their lawyer, they've written to the South African government complaining deeply the manner in which the remains of the late presidents were desecrated. They've explained that first, it was not done legally or lawfully, and that there's no court order in South Africa that compels the South African government or the South African police or anybody to conduct the post-mortem. They've also complained that the removal of the body was also illegal. Government and the Attorney General used the excuse and the lie that the Supreme Court appeal by the family had lapsed, and therefore they had picked the body and ready for repatriation in accordance with the August 2025 Gauteng High Court judgment that they got. But instead, the following day, we learned that they had taken it to a forensic pathological center where a postmortem was done without the presence of the family, without the legal or knowledge of the family, without consent by the family or their lawyers. And the government has been lying that no, there's a matter the police in South Africa have been investigating. True, there's a matter that is being pursued by an organization called Progressive Forces of South Africa, an organization that we've identified is working with the Zambian government. It conducted the first press conference demanding for the repatriation of the remains of the late president, and they've been marching in favor of the Attorney General in Zambia. We even identified that one of their press conferences, one of them was paid by a Zambian official we've identified as Yui. And Yui is also now associated with the collection of the body, was the one that was present and at the ceremony at the event to conduct a post-mortem. The Zambian government have been involved. So the police have been investigating that complaint, demanding an inquest and demanding post-mortem. Those matters have not matured. They're coming up next month, and there'll be a ruling whether that organization can be given mandate to, number one, conduct, request that inquest hearing to take place. Number two, if a post-mortem can be done. So the lies by the Attorney General that the South African police did this in light of criminal investigation is not true, because there's no legal mandate to allow them to do a post-mortem. And the judgment that they relied upon of August 2025 just mandates them to repatriate the body, and it had details of how the body must be collected and must be repatriated. 3 people were identified to be with the body. That was Dr. Njovu, the personal lawyer of the late president, the former ADC, the ADC of the late president, Bachanda, and any family member. They were to be present at all times. That was that judgment. So what was done, the removal of the body and the actual postmortem, remains a mystery to the family. Because what authority did the Zambian government use? So a letter has been written to the Attorney General by the family's lawyers demanding answers. I personally did a formal letter using my position as former ambassador in South Africa, knowing how South Africa works. I wrote a letter to the president, also demanding answers why the remains of the late president have been desecrated. I'm going to bring in my special guest, Kelvin Fubebwalia, the president of Zambia Must Prosper. He's a regular on this program, but we bring him under these difficult circumstances to just explain to us what is happening. Mr. President, thank you very much. And I noticed that you attended the funeral, the memorial service or remembrance service that took place at Praise Christian Center to remember the late president. Thank you very much for that gesture.
Good evening, Ambassador, and good evening, viewers.
Mr. President, we are discussing the state of the country and the recent events. Really have just shaken us to the core. And Emmanuel J.J. Banda, former Petauke Independent MP, didn't even help matters because yesterday he disclosed that he was actually initiated, in a secret cult that is the UPND, most senior UPND members belong to, and he revealed certain things that shocked the country. We are in such a state of shock. I don't know how you capture these events, Mr. President.
Well, it is very disheartening to note that as a country, we have our morals deteriorating at every twist and turn, especially with regard to the remains of our late president, Edgar Chagua Lungu. You have clearly said in your introduction, and I agree, that as it stands now, there is and there was no legal authority for the Zambian government to have access to the body of the late president, let alone to perform or have a postmortem performed on his body. Let me just explain a few things legally so that Zambians can understand how things are done from a very strategic and accurate legal position. Inquests. I believe that South Africa and Zambia more or less have similar laws when it comes to inquest. And the reason why an inquest is called usually is because somebody has to complain to the police in that particular country, suspecting that an individual who is now late died under mysterious circumstances. An order for such an inquest must be granted by the presiding magistrate. Evidence has to be taken from witnesses who have to give factual, and I repeat, factual evidence about what makes them believe that they have reasons why the inquest must be conducted. Usually inquests are conducted when a murder has occurred and the family member, friends, relatives, or indeed citizens approach the court. When an inquest order is granted, it is a full trial. Who is being accused must be named. The deceased must be named. In this particular instance, I am aware that the group that you mentioned in South Africa moved the magistrate court. The last hearing of this case was on the 31st of March, and the matter was adjourned to the 29th of May. Today, we are in April. So the inquest has not been concluded, and the magistrate has not given his orders or findings as to what happened to the late President Edgar Chagua Lungu. It is only after the inquest is resolved, evidence is heard, the persons giving such evidence are cross-examined, that the court arrives at what we term as judicially tested facts, which have been basically tested, the veracity of which have been tested under cross-examination. Why is this important? It is important because we don't want people to come and start telling stories. We don't want people to start making accusations against other people for no reason, because this is possible, especially that it is a politician who has died. That did not happen, and that has not been concluded. So how is the Zambian government, under the voice of our Attorney General, who is the leader of the Zambian bar, claiming that the body of the late 6th Republican president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, was under the control of the South African police? There was no order based on that inquest. Further, the inquest can direct, after the trial, that a postmortem be held to determine the circumstances of how a person died. But this usually happens when the matter is one of the allegation of poisoning. A toxicology report has to be presented by a qualified pathologist. Now, let me just dig a bit deeper. When I was a junior lawyer at Legal Aid in Zambia, I attended 3 inquests at the UTH. It is not a pretty sight. What happens in the morgue is that the pathologist comes in. There must be police under the order of the court. There must be police present, witnesses from the family involved, friends, or anybody of a witness in the court to testify as to what they are seeing. What happens in the morgue and the machines used, it looks like a butcher ripping up a chicken and cutting to pieces the body of a human being. They open the skull. I don't want to be graphic, but it's important that Zambians understand. They open the entire chest area up to the abdomen. The main organs will require the pathologist to take tissue samples. The brain, the lungs, the stomach, the liver, and indeed, sometimes the pancreas, the intestines. These tissue samples will have to be taken for laboratory testing to establish whether or not this person died from poisoning or something else. If it is an injury, the pathologist needs to examine the injury and establish, for the purposes of the court, the type of instrument, weapon, or blunt object that was used, which resulted in the death of the person involved. If it is bullet wounds, meaning if a person was shot, the pathologist needs to go into the body and go and remove the bullet as to where it was lodged, in which organ, and if any organs were damaged in the body of a person. All that has to be in the report. This report is used by the police and the witnesses. And then the pathologist has to sign out that he or she conducted this particular postmortem, and these were the results and findings. In our particular case, I am sorry to report to the Zambians that I have spoken to a lot of doctor friends, and I have friends in the medical profession. And they have indicated to me that it's almost impossible at this stage, 10 months after the death of our late president, to have a postmortem conducted, even if the postmortem inquest order was granted, and have a proper result. Why is this so? It is so because, according to medical science, the way the body was preserved, the temperature at which it was preserved, the organs of our late president collapsed. Even if there was disease, even if there was poisoning in the body, it is almost unlikely that the pathological report, doing a postmortem today, 10 months after the fact, could find anything meaningful to report to the magistrate by way of an inquest or a postmortem report.
Mr. President, you are raising fundamental issues, and thank you for the guidance. You know, of shock to many Zambians is who would demand for a postmortem or an inquest? The family has a death certificate that was issued by the doctor that saw the late president, and that death certificate has been given to the Zambian government. And it's so surprising that strangers are asking for an inquest. Is this normal? Can anyone come up and demand for an inquest to be done on your body? I don't know what you would say to that process that is currently happening in the Randburg Magistrate Court.
A very important question. In my legal experience, and I speak with humility, my humble experience here takes me to 40 plus years in the legal profession. An inquest is always demanded, usually by the following persons. One, the family members. When they're suspicious that their loved one met an untimely death, or the circumstances under which their family member died cannot be explained. Or indeed, if the police find a John Doe, a person who they can't identify by name or other circumstances, then they think something is wrong with this body and maybe we need to begin investigations. The other people that can ask for an inquest are friends, those that knew the person, who last saw him alive and then see his body by way of identifying him in the morgue, or if they are called by the police to identify, and then they say, this is not how I saw him the last time he was with us. Or if circumstances were from a social event, for example, if a person was attending a dinner, a celebration, and then suddenly he collapses and is foaming at the mouth, and witnesses are able to say he only started foaming at the mouth or started vomiting after he drank X substance, the drink, the food, and everything surrounding the circumstances of the last event of that person have to be taken for lab tests. Toxicology reports have to be written. So, in answer to your question, Ambassador, it is usually the family, friends, or people who have an interest in the body that has been found. They are the ones that ask for an inquest. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot come and ask for an inquest over a person who they have no interest in and over whom they have no relationship with. It is very strange in this current situation to have an NGO or a group of persons from South Africa demanding for an inquest. They must have been sponsored. I believe they are sponsored by political foes to the late president.
The circumstances remain shocking, Mr. President, in the manner this postmortem has been done. You issued a very strong statement, and I'll look for it, I'll play it at the right time. You cited that literally what government has done is just not only illegal, but is also culturally offensive, and it has desecrated the body of the late president, and it has injured all of us as a nation that such acts can be done, where you literally steal the body of someone who is not related to you and conduct this postmortem. You issued that strong statement.
Yes.
What should be done? How can people be made to account today or one day?
Another important question, Ambassador. Let me put this in context so that the Zambians follow us. First of all, there is no order granting the Zambian government today access to the body of ECL directly. I know that they have claimed the August 2025 order as one which gives them the right. Let me just go deeper here so that you understand how an execution of an order of the High Court is conducted. This can be either by way of an eviction notice against a squatter, or a notice for a tenant who hasn't paid you rent, or somebody against whom you have a judgment and you have to execute using the sheriff. What happens at law, and I believe in the circumstances we're in, and even in South African Roman Dutch law, the events are the same. Unless, and I repeat, unless court had issued an unless order. Let me state this as a repetition. Unless the court issued an unless order, even if the court has directed that A, B, C, D be done by this point and that point in time, you cannot simply say, because the time has lapsed, I am therefore going to execute this court order. It doesn't work. What is an unless order? An unless order is a specific order given by the High Court saying that unless you do A, B, C, D, this and this will follow. If there was no specific directive by the court, it means even when the order granted by the court lapses, you go back to the court as an aggrieved party and you move the court to say, my lord, my lady, you directed us that by such and such a day under your directions, this and that should happen. My colleague on the other side has failed to follow your orders for direction. And therefore, I am now asking that you grant me an order to do X, which was supposed to be the result of the failure by my colleague to do what you are directed. That is how, in a civilized country, the law operates. In this particular instance, I am aware that the order, as you correctly observed, Ambassador, in your intro, had a lot of benchmarks that needed to be fulfilled by the Zambian government under our Attorney General, giving directives to his advocates in South Africa. For example, the presence of the ADC Bachanda, the presence of a family member, the execution to be done by the Sheriff Republic of South Africa. These three were condition precedents that needed to be fulfilled before any execution. And this had to be done under the direction of the court. This was not done. We are no different legally from the South African Roman Dutch law in terms of its execution of court judgments. I am aware from my relationship with colleagues and those that I've asked from the South African bar, and they've told me this is unheard of. So, I want to challenge our attorney, Mulilo Kabesha. He can claim or he can claim that the Zambian government was not involved in this matter. My answer is stop lying, Attorney General. Stop lying to the Zambian people. You're a Christian, you are my friend, and you are a reverend. That is how I know you, Mulilo. And just for those who may not know, I don't say this out of spite. Mulilo is a dear friend to me. I was one of his best men at his wedding. So when I speak, I don't mean this out of malice. He's a friend. But on this one, we have differed on principle. He lied. The Zambian government was in control of the body of the late president. The Zambian government charged. And that is why our Zambian officials at our embassy in South Africa were present. How does the Attorney General explain that members of our embassy were present if he wants to make it seem like only the South African government police were present? It doesn't make sense. And it's not going to convince me or an ordinary thinking Zambian that the Zambian government was not involved. It was. This,
in fact, Mr. President, just to put context to exactly what you are saying, is the night it was reported that the body has been illegally taken and we sounded an alarm, the whole country went abuzz because, you know, the body of the late president missing is such a big issue. And it just set social media ablaze to the extent that the Attorney General came and issued a calming statement. And he said, we have the body. We have the body, it's in our custody, and it has been taken to a facility. He didn't issue a one line. It was an extensive statement calming the nation that the body has not been stolen, that the body has been possessed in their custody using the High Court judgment. In fact, he lied that the High Court had now released the body to the late president. And then 2 days later, you saw the statement he issued where he absolved himself that at no time has government ever had custody of the body physically. The two contrasting statements, I think, also have just annoyed everyone that we are treating such a serious matter like it's just a matter for propaganda when there are families at stake. There is a matter of the former president who was, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, who was president for 7 years. You know, there is pain to the widow. You can't treat this matter in such a fashion as the two contradictory statements show. You can continue, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ambassador. like I was saying, and I totally agree with your observation. I think the problem with the UPND government, and I say government because the Attorney General sits in cabinet, I am aware that Mulilo Kabesha has been frequenting South Africa in the last month. I am also aware that he has made several trips to consult with his lawyers. I am aware that he is under extreme pressure to impress the executive arm of government here. And these are the circumstances under which Kabesha was operating. So initially when he came, come and give that calm, soothing statement that there was no worry, the government was in control of the body of ECL. That was the correct position. The second statement which he gave, unfortunately, it is a lie, and it is one which is intended to camouflage what transpired, because now they understand the gravity of what has transpired, especially that the chief pathologist, Shirley Gina Stewart, is a government pathologist in South Africa who the Lungu family did not give any permission to. Zambian ambassador or the officials from the Zambian embassy were present during the postmortem. This could only be done with the full sanction of State House from back home here. As you know, ambassador, every ambassador who is accredited to another country is called His or Her Excellency. He is a personal representative of the Republic, meaning the president or the government from where he is from. That lady at the South African embassy was present instructions from the government here, meaning our president, Hakainde Hichilema. He knew what was happening. He gave those instructions and he said, go ahead. Fellow Zambians, we must not be lied to by this government. This government is a government of liars. We have demonstrated time and time again. This is a lying government. Let that sink in. So when the Attorney General of this country comes and begins to lie and say at no time did the Zambian government have possession, the South African police could not have had the guts, and I use the word loosely, could not have had the guts to touch the body of a former president, commander-in-chief of another country, without the sanction of the country which claims to have the authority over that. Mulilo Kabesha, Hakainde Hichilema, and the entire UPND government knew exactly what instructions they had given. Whether they were present physically or otherwise, this whole saga was conducted under their instructions. There is no way the South African police, this Sergeant Ngwenya we're reading about, could be swearing affidavits and moving a postmortem and commanding the chief pathologist to go and conduct a postmortem without some backing. Ichiremba chilanda ti ba mumbwepa kudila nishina ishwoko ashintiri amatako. And I'm sorry, I don't want to be vulgar here, but I'm trying to express this in the deepest sense so that Zambians understand that this Sergeant Ngwenya could not have had the guts without knowing that he has the support from the highest office from Zambia. Mulilo Kabesha was representing the cabinet in which he sits as ex-official. He did not travel to South Africa without the permission of the head of state. So what nonsense is this that he's trying to cook up and make us believe that he didn't know what was happening? He was not in charge of the body. No. Mwana, stop lying. Come on. Even if you want a job, if I were you, I'd resign tomorrow.
Indeed. Those are strong words from a dear friend speaking from the place of love. Like you said, you were on his wedding lineup. So you are speaking from a place of sincerity. Clearly, they've desecrated the body of the late president. Mr. President, let me use the opportunity before I let you go on just key issues affecting our country. Number one, there is worry that Zambia may not hold democratic, credible, transparent, free and fair elections because of what is happening. From you being stopped as political parties from holding political rallies, to creation of new laws like cyber laws, the enactment of Bill 7, and currently there's even a very bad law, the Electoral Process Bill, which somehow, restricts the participation of political parties in elections and giving a lot of powers to both the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the Registrar of Societies. How are you dealing with these threats against the hosting of free and fair elections? Mr. President, of course, to our dear viewers, they may not know, I've met you before, but actively in the field. I met you in 2006 when we were planning for the election of President Michael Sata. You have been dealing with the electoral process in our country from a long time ago, and you've participated very actively in elections. What do you make of all these maneuvers by President Hakainde Hichilema first to control, institutions of democracy such as the judiciary, parliament, ECZ, the Zambia police, and also then to enact these laws that just are literally disenfranchising and threatening all of you, your participation in elections?
Now you are touching the meat of my expertise. Let me begin by saying that what I sense from what the UPND government is doing today is fear, desperation, and of course, a sense of confusion by the UPND government. Why do I say this? I say this because there's an old saying, Ambassador, that if it's not broken, don't fix it. What is it? What is the mischief within our election laws that the UPND government wants to fix at the 11th hour? From where I sit, with the greatest respect, nothing. But let me say this. All these maneuvers by the UPND government is pointing to one thing: fear of losing an election which is supposed to be free and fair. I want to state that we have had these kind of fights before, and we know for a fact that Hakainde Hichilema knows that he cannot win any election if he doesn't play by changing the rules. But I will repeat, even with the change of the rules, I am called the game changer. And we are going to change this game. What the UPND government wants to do is to marry the laws that they are enacting at the 11th hour and perform what is now being termed as the Tanzanian formula. They want to ensure that they give an advantage to the UPND. All these laws are meant to stifle and reduce the democratic space for us as opposition. Just today, you may be aware, Ambassador, the Inspector General of Police, who is not a politician, does not run a political party, goes to issue a statement, which is quite worrying. But it is a statement which I pray that my colleagues in the opposition read and understand. The Inspector General of Police says, we don't want anybody making noise. When you're disqualified, you have been given a certificate of adoption by a party to which you don't belong. Now, the undercurrent there is they don't want to use the Registrar of Societies to issue this statement. They don't want to use the Electoral of Zambia to use this. They want a man in valor, a man in uniform, to intimidate and threaten and say, if you come on this, we prepare you and we shall deal with you. You don't begin to issue threats unless you know that you have already lost an election, which is where UPND is sitting. Now, the other thing which is embedded in this statement, which I pray that my colleagues in the opposition read and understand, is basically a statement which was made by Electoral Commission of Zambia Chairperson, Bomwangala Zalome's State Council, the other Friday when we met at Mulungushi Conference Center as political parties. State Council, Mwangala Zalome said, and I quote, but I'm amplifying here, so let me not say I quote. She said, we shall listen to the institutions that have been given priority. Who stands? In other words, the Registrar of Societies becomes a very pivotal player in the coming elections. So if the Registrar of Societies, for instance, says X candidate is not a member of this particular party on which he claims to be a candidate as president, that will be the end. Second, and hidden underneath there, was another statement by the ECZ at that same meeting that we are not going to announce whether or not a candidate has had his candidature accepted for nomination, and after 2-3 days after you filed, you will recall, Ambassador, you and I know we've played down this avenue before. We escorted a presidential candidate. The Electoral Commission examined them. Within 30 minutes to an hour, they'll tell the candidate, you have successfully filed and begin your campaigns. Now the commission is saying they will not immediately, they'll do it after 2-3 days. The nomination period will close and not reopen it. During the previous arrangement, if there was a mistake with one of your candidates, for instance, if your running mate meets certain qualifications, you could change the mate immediately. That position won't be there. Equally, in the reverse order, if the president is found wanting and is not a member of a political party that he wants to stand on, he can only be told 2-3 days after the fact, after which the nomination period would have closed. But Ambassador, these are tricks. And I want my friends to speak. We know this, listen. You must understand who you are. This government does not mean well for the Zambians with regard to the forthcoming 13th of August elections. Statements such as this one, coming from the Inspector General of Police today, so you can satisfy all the conditions, but you will be disqualified because the Electoral Commission will simply say, we have been told by the Registrar of Societies that X is not the president who is registered at the Registrar of Societies for this political party, and therefore he cannot sit on this political party. And this is where it's going. A lot of our colleagues are going to be disqualified. But you would have lost 100,000 kwacha, which is non-refundable. You would have wasted time, effort to mobilize 100 supporters in all the 10 provinces, meaning 1,000 people, and they want to double check. Another condition which was discussed in that meeting we had is that they want to make sure that in the pre-processing of the 100 supporters in the various provincial capitals of this country, Kasama, Mansa, Kabwe, Ndola, Mungu, Choma, Chin, etc. When you put your supporters in one place, they want to make sure that only people in that area, in that province, can claim that they are supporting this country. And those people not be transferred to another political party or another candidate. These are tricks. I can be registered to vote, for example, in Lusaka, but I hail from Muchinga, or Northern Province, or Luapula Province, or the Copperbelt Province. What would be wrong with you examining me here when I say, this is my registration certificate, and this is my NRC, this is who I am? It is cheaper, it is easier. But all these tricks we have studied, Ambassador. Let me give some comfort to the Zambians now. Where we are, my fellow
Mr. President,
Zambians.
before you give comfort to Zambians, I want you to take into consideration this one. Like you are saying, the changes at ECZ and Registrar of Societies are very worrying to our people, that candidates may be stopped, and that the UPND could be using it as a trick to stop those that they perceive to be strong candidates. Number two, the amendments, especially in the electoral process bill, that is required that when you vote, you leave the polling station immediately. Remember in 2011, you and President Michael Sata even went to the extent of telling voters to come with their own pen and to guard their vote. You know, you had formed an organization to protect the vote, and you schooled the voters to protect their own vote wherever they were. And many people at many polling stations across the country waited and counted with party agents and party officials. And there was no chaos. At least the results came out credible. Mwangala Zalume, who you know is an expert like yourself, who has headed the electoral process reforms under President Mwanawasa, and she was a lawyer, she's handled various electoral petitions, seems to be abusing her knowledge to disenfranchise people. She's saying in the electoral process bill that when you vote, you leave the station. because there will be party agents. And then we know what happens to party agents. The UPND, as you have seen in recent elections, have been beating and removing party agents from other political parties. The ballot papers, the electoral process bill is proposing that you remove the security features, the watermark and the signature that is signed at every ballot issued to a voter. The electoral process bill is proposing to remove that. And then there are these threatening statements you've talked about, the Inspector General of Police and others that are literally threatening candidates and threatening voters. It is beginning to create an atmosphere of despair for our people, that maybe we may not even need to vote. Please give that comfort you wanted to give to, and demonstrate why it is important that people should show up, vote, and protect that vote.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Mwebena Zambia, let us not be discouraged. We have faced these kind of hurdles before. We know from what the UPND has schemed, and we understand where they want to take this kind of electioneering. But, Ambassador, I'm sorry, I may not go into details of what strategic measures we are going to put in place to block these kind of things, but we're already working behind the scene so that this does not happen. Remember, I'm a candidate in this forthcoming election, so I'm even going to work even harder to make sure that we block the machinations the UPND is going to come up. But overall, we are still going to train monitors, and they should be allowed to be in the polling booths and the polling stations. We are still going to train polling agents who will be accredited to ECZ, and by law, they are allowed to remain in the polling station. With regard to leaving, it is normal that when you vote, you must leave the polling station. The law is that you must not be within 100 meters of the polling station. So what we're going to do, just one measure, is that we shall be 110 meters away from the polling station. And we shall wait. We shall not leave those polling stations. We shall ensure that our people are fed and they are made to wait until the results are announced. Our polling agents, our monitors will be in the polling stations, and we shall make sure that they are accredited, they are trained, and they should raise what we term in law as a hue and cry immediately they sense any kind of discomfort or any kind of place they are not comfortable with by the UPND. We are going to establish legal teams to fight on the spot, but there shall also be political pressure. Remember, as a candidate, I am allowed, as a candidate, any member of parliament, any councillor is allowed to go to the polling station, and if it is lodged, he can enter that polling station, sign forms, and that complaint has to be dealt with. If we shall need to stop the voting and suspend it for a few hours until what we want is dealt with, that will be done. And we're not playing, because we know the UPND is desperate. The UPND is fearful. The UPND is basically decimated right now. They're in confusion. This is why they're changing all these laws and all these things that they want to do. You mentioned, for instance, Ambassador, that the electoral process bill has got so many provisions. It is unfortunate that even at the last meeting where we met as political parties with the ECZ, the chairperson of the ECL, Mwangala Zalome's State Council, was discussing this electoral process bill as if it is already an act of parliament. She was challenged, I think, by my older brother, Honorable Kopolandi, who said, but this bill is not yet law. And she said, you shall ignore this bill at your peril, because this is the bill under which we are going to vote. I found that strange. For a lawyer to make such a statement, a state council, and she was almost being rude. Let me just say she was rude to Honorable Sebastian Kopolandi. She asked him to sit down like a small boy and said, we are taking care of those things, blah, blah, blah. Look, I understand. She's working under pressure. But she must understand further that the Zambian people need comfort going into these elections. And the behavior of the chairperson, including the CEO and the elections officer who was conducting the ceremony, in certain instances, not at all times, but in certain instances, was unbecoming. Their behavior demonstrated very clearly that they came with a position which, our view, showed that they had come with instructions after deliberations, and they want to thrust everything they came with down our throats like we've never run elections before. Womangala, you and I have run elections before. You know what it is to run against incumbency, and especially if an incumbent government is trying to play tricks and trying to play unfair. So let me warn. Only the president of this country enjoys immunity. Only. You and your commissioners, Bomwangala, you have no immunity. So when the tables turn and we come after you, as the tables will turn in August, don't blame us. It's not a threat, it's a friendly warning. Behave yourselves.
Two last questions, Mr. President. One is the issue of unity. I'll come to that. But the opposition and many stakeholders have expressed worry at the composition of ECZ, that in its current state, despite what we've all discussed, there's even a nagging issue that the current state of ECZ cannot conduct democratic, credible, transparent, free and fair elections. Why? Because Mwangala Zalomi herself has been an active member of the UPND. McDonald Chipenzi, established, former FODEP, and he has tried to aspire as a member of parliament for Siavonga under UPND. Then you have Brown Kasaro, who's the chief electoral officer, and Dr. Collins Kachaka. Both officials, for Mr. Brown Kasaro, remember even at his appointment, the opposition, including yourself and Dr. Fred Membe, even wrote public letters that Mr. Brown Kasaro was not qualified to be chief electoral officer of ECZ because of that complaint in 2016 where he was accused of trying to rig elections for the UPND. Now he is in charge. The composition of ECZ, even in this late hour, is there a hope that it can be changed to inspire confidence that it can be a neutral body? It was actually even the flames were fanned worse, like petrol was poured on when the president appointed Zefianji Sinkala, a UPND official from Rwanda. He's a young brother, he's a lawyer, you know him. He was even aspiring to be a member of parliament under the UPND, and he also wanted to be in the National Management Committee of the UPND. He's also been made to join the ECZ. Maybe I answer that question, then I come to the issue of unity of the opposition after you've answered that question, Mr. President?
Thank you, Ambassador. I don't want to give a gloomy picture to the Zambians. We understand the composition of the UPND Electoral Commission, and we know that they are all cadres. We know that. We know that for a fact. They are all cadres, all of them. I have a relationship, or at least I had an incident with Brown Kasaro. I don't trust him. McDonald Chipenzi, I don't trust. Even this boy who was appointed recently, I don't. But when you are fighting a war, Ambassador, we must be very strategic, and we must make sure that everything that we do, we fight within the law. But sometimes we may have to employ tactics which the ECZ must not be told on here. I say this.
No, I know. A general never reviews his strategies. You are a general, and not general reviews his strategy. We are confident, Zambians then are confident that you, the opposition, you, Zambia Must Prosper, are participating in a process to protect the vote. I understand that.
Yes.
Let's come to the issue of unity for two reasons. Zambians are saying you need to pool your resources because of the magnanimity of the work that is ahead. We have 12,200 polling stations. We have 1,875, councillors position. We have 226 constituencies, 116 districts, 10 provinces. Running that mammoth elections is quite difficult, resource-wise, both financial, technical, and human resource. The Zambians are calling on you to be united. Number two, Zambians have been demanding, you have been on this platform, Mr. President, before. They're asking you to work together, and if possible, present unified candidates. It's a matter we've been, tulekomailapo, no mwaka wapwa. I don't know where you are with the issue of unity in the opposition. One, to pull your resources together, it is easier than to face the UPND. Number two is that our people are afraid, looking at the history. You have 2001 elections won by Mwanawasa, he got 29%. The opposition got 70%. But the opposition lost because they shared the 71%. And although there's now 50+1, our people are afraid when they look at the array of all of you leaders, credible, proper leaders that can challenge President Hakainde Hichilema. But they fear that in your division, you are dominant, you have your own supporters. You will divide the vote and advantage the UPND. Please answer to the issue of unity, even in this late hour.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. This is a very, very important question, and we must give our Zambians the correct position. As we speak today, I want to assure the Zambians, and through your program, the world at large, that we are going to emerge more united than most people dare to dream. I say this because I am confident that all my brothers in the opposition understand the gravity of what is at stake. More so, I want to report at a personal level that we are using our experience, we are using our strategic thinking, strategic planning to engage almost all the opposition. All the opposition. We may not, and I repeat, we may not achieve 100% unity. But my belief is that if we reach 60, 70% unity in the opposition, knowing what we know, the experiences that we know we have, the UPND is gone. I have personally taken a very huge step in ensuring that this unity comes to fruition. I am happy to report that we are talking, we are engaging. I may not go into the details now because we are still in the kitchen, but we realize time is of the essence. So yes, we have been talking, Ambassador, for close to a year plus, maybe a year plus, yes, I think almost 2 years. We are almost there. And the Zambians must not be too worried. Those of our colleagues that will not want to be part of what we are cooking in the kitchen, we shall let them go. But the majority thus far have expressed the same thought pattern, unity of purpose. That has been found. More so with these Mingato, which the UPND has been scheming, the laws that the UPND has been changing. I think reality has dawned on almost all the opposition leaders worth the salt that we must work together. I am pleased to say that I have not heard, at least from the main players, any resistance of working together. But like I keep saying, Ambassador, again, you will forgive me. I don't want to divulge too much because we are almost there. As you know, people understand unity differently. For some of our colleagues, unity means they must be the only ones to lead. That is wrong. For some of our colleagues, unity means they must be the ones to take charge of the finances, the logistics of the majority of MPs, the majority of, we don't want that. We already saw that with the UPND alliance, and we know it crumbled very badly because they did not understand what it means to come together on a plain level field where everybody is treated as an equal with respect and knowing each one's strength and each one's ability. We in Zambia must prosper. I want to report are very clear as to what we want to achieve. We are also very clear why we want to enter into this arrangement. It is the poor, unsuspecting Zambians, the 20 million plus Zambians that we have to liberate from the jaws of poverty, from the jaws of ignorance, from the jaws of disease, from the jaws of load shedding, from the jaws of a lot of inequality, bad planning for agriculture, etc. We have almost arrived. And I'm glad to say, at least with the major players, we have agreed in principle that we are going to field together and move as one.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are hosting Kelvin Fuwebwalia, President, Zambia Must Prosper. The lines are open. Before I let him go, maybe I'll take about 5 calls, which you can then direct to the President. Mr. Kelvin Fubebwalia. He can answer those questions, then we'll let him go. And you and I then can stay longer, knowing social media, I can give you more time to express yourself. We've tackled 3 key issues. Number one is the matter regarding the remains of the late president and the desecration that occurred. I can see I have a first caller already. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and give your contribution or ask President Kelvin Fubebwalia. Hello, caller.
Hello, thank you, Vamwamba. I just have 4 items I'd like to raise with you today.
Okay.
Firstly, thank you so much for your continued effort over the last few days in bringing all the information to the Zambian people. I know your lines have been busy over the last few days. In some instances, I think in the beginning, a lot of people were shocked, didn't call in. So don't take maybe the lack of calls as people weren't concerned. We are concerned. Sometimes we just sit back and we listen and we absorb information. So I think we've now absorbed some information. And there are a few things I'd like to raise. So you're a broad church, and I really thank the work that you do. And I'll be honest, for me, I used to support HH when he first came in. I thought it was a change from the cadreism and everything else. So I'll be honest, that's where I was. Now, when he came in, he said, there must be law and order. Let there be law and order. Now, can we define the events of the last few days as law and order? Can we really? Now let's turn to the Attorney General. So in his own words the other day, he said, we have possession of the body. A few days later, 1 or 2 days later, he performs a complete U-turn. Yeah? So this is a man who's meant to be, his words are meant to carry weight. His statements are meant to be beyond reproach. So if it's true that the government never took possession of the body, my question is, have they lodged a formal complaint with the South African government? If we take the Attorney General's words at face value, that he never took possession of the body, what is the current status? Was that officer from the embassy working on his own authority when he was present at the time of the postmortem? What is the status of that officer? Has he been relieved of his duties? Because according to the Attorney General, they never had possession. So what is the status of that officer? And then next, you've been very kind to accommodate the gentleman that called on 2 consecutive nights and antagonized listeners. On the first night, he said HH has already seen the body. On the second night, he said, we'll vote for HH again and again and again. And I took those words at face value. And you, the opposition, you now need to start taking those words at face value. You've been warned. This is what will come. 3-4 years' time, they'll be talking if he wins in August. This is what's coming. There'll be another occasion where they'll want to put him forward. So this is my final call to the opposition. Unify, unite, or face the music. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. He's calling upon unity of the opposition, and is asking if the last events have been the rule of law as promised by President Hakainde Hichilema. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Tata Mwamba Mwabombeni.
And Sam Kwaimaya.
Hello, Nava President Vafuve Mwabombeni Chakutotera. Anyway, there is no more questions to ask because all the questions have been asked by you and all the answers have been given. I just want to thank Vafuve. Yeah, pakwisa kweva kwefintu fya kweva tifya tu nashako kumitima. Echo ndefu afyo kutotera. Na paku tulondo wera fionse na pafire chitika paba fyashi besu abatusha. Chakutasha kali chakutasha nganshi. Twali baba sakamana ichine mchalo chesu. Elo kuti chaba chintu chimo ichinga wamanga chakweva ati kweno kulingana fengefyo balanda nga baliketene au kuti twatasha mwandini bantu ukuchula twachula tatwaba free tatulanda mashina tatulanda ekutwikala kumlandu wakutina chokwewa fati nangufye tawatala bonsi apo bad word but ngawa bakufye against ati bakanjikata twaikala fyaba mwenso ichine tata chakutashanganshi menga twadilila fye ukulingana ngefu fini mwatulondolwera twatotera mkwai.
Thank you very much, thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and we are hosting Zambia Must Prosper President Honorable Kelvin Fubebwalia.
Thank you so much, Honorable Emmanuel Mwamba. Good evening, President KBF. Charles Mmewe, Mr. Fresh is my name, Lusaka, Zambia. My call, Honorable Mwamba, is that I was in attendance at the remembering service that we had for ECL, and I had a chance to say hi to President KBF as he was driving out. My call, as the pastor said, Pastor Sakala used wisdom to give example for the dogs that found meat along the way, and they started fighting on their own, and a small dog came and pulled out that meat, and they found that that meat has gone. That speaks to us in the opposition. The call for unity, the call for you people to reconcile before the days are gone. If at all there are plans that are being done secretly, because we are dealing with criminals in this government, it's important that if there are plans that can be done or that are going on now, let them continue as we are waiting for the days for those that will be nominating. President KBF, I trust you and I believe in you, knowing that you have been in these dealings for a while, and for you to work together with the rest of these opposition leaders, Makebi Zulu, Brani Munduwiri, and the rest, the people that have been in political schools of Michael Sata, political schools of ECL. You people need to unite, and you are the only people that will rescue us from the struggle that we are in. Look the way things are being done.
Mr. Fresh, thank you very much. I think we've got it. The president has got your request for unity, and that example that was given in church, he will speak to it. We'll allow him to speak to it. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, and give us your contribution.
Didi from Copper Belt.
Didi from the Copper Belt, make your contribution.
Okay. Bafuve, esami pale, esale mirundi la kwensiku, akukwata omuntu wakulondolole fintu fya ufuika, uli government of mafia. This government is looking the government of mafia, yeka. Takwa bafu bafuve. Mwalondolole fintu fya ufuika, bafuveka kanini, abo mukeka kamina bwagobrezi. Muluri abantu bafuve nakuwa kuchula mchalo. Takwa bapo, kuna chita president kusoma filia, kuna mfunya kumocha ni, wamugombela kabili mwekesha mkikuma kipita boti, kifuna mwini mwaka kwa mpokele na uyo mlepa wili. Bafuve bombeni, bafuwe nyumwa ite wenu makepi, mwitata nebonse, bafulani mundunge, bonse ba opposition yaba alafu nina. Bafuve mutungu, ababantu nabeshi batubulendo na bupalama. Erofe balufini nyingi. Ngani bali abakunzeti bali abo bakaisanga mungu wabia. Nabatu wapapa kulipanshi ya makasa yenu le sale mitingirira pye. Mule kwata tulefa ya madoya zako batali ndondora ngepi. Loti doya ya imini na ngoko kwa lela nda imwe mwaisa mkulangira hapa. Changu kane sonde yonse until 12 August kavote bafubelwireni abantu ikale nipanshi fweba kwenda mumushi ukuya mukutita kampe umotuli tukaya pama kasakiratu mubaendele tukaya mumpiri na mumishito tukaya tika batotira.
Thank you very much. I said I'll take about 5 calls for the president, then he will answer, then we'll let him go, but you can remain calling. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, Ambassador Mamba. Good evening.
Good evening, my dear brother. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from and give us your contribution.
Okay, Chilea from Copper Belt.
Thank you, Chilea. Make your contributions.
Mr. President, good evening. Mamba, so President can explain properly. Even us who don't understand the law properly, we're able to understand now. I think I'm just calling upon my President KBF, Uncle Freddie Membe, Uncle Kalaba, I think to come together and support the young brother, Makebi Zulu. We understand this time around, yes, my uncle there, they have been in politics for a while now, but the people, they are just looking up to Munduvile and Makebi Zulu.
Aho banene nkwataveni pano vachindikeni kwaveni nava mieve fe imilimo valechita. What you must allow is for them to sit together vakasereni tungulushi pali vena.
Thank you for that.
Muchinshe mkwai. Yeah.
So we just call upon the unity in that case, Emmanuel Mwamba. We just call upon.
Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, just a minute, call. I think this particular phone was on speaker. Just a minute. Was on my earpiece. Just a minute. Yes, call. I think now you are on. Hello, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling from Kasam. My name is Alex, Ambassador. Good evening. Just a quick one. First of all, the news that I've heard so far today, among all the things that President Fu has mentioned, is the message of unity, which I think most of us we must be excited. But we never know this person. He can do anything anyway. Mr. President, as much as we are concentrating on the fights, pulling each other left, right, and center, creating up more political parties, to me doesn't make sense. Because as we speak, I think we should concentrate much on trying to block all these techniques or tricks that this guy is trying to do. Are you aware that the ZRI portal will be closed by Wednesday? And if anybody who has not declared himself, then there will be no opposition. Are you aware that you as politicians, you have to declare yourself through the DRI, and that portal will be closed this Wednesday? If you're not aware, I'm kindly asking, put your house in order. And this guy has vowed that before July, there will be no opposition. So please take this as a notification to you people.
Mr. President, since it's one of the qualifications to get tax clearance, it's under maintenance. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions.
Good evening, Ambassador
Bamunkonge, London Ponin Kwatabenwa, Kelvin Fubewaria, Vepshen Wangu.
Nala ipisha kufama question ya bilia kurekeresha na rondoro ako pakuisha ya kubalira ko ba Kelvin wishe ngamule monana na over sampawe sumwe ba fiashi beso ngamule monana na ma opposition leaders benu mukweba ati mupange unit
nibabwalya mwabetati basampa nibabwalya
babwalya okay
emkwai
babwalya ba KBF
emkwai
babwalya mule munana n'abaneno mulimbi mukufisama limbi munshire shapu mulera nshana na bena pakwe bati mukwate unit so lero mulinde process oro mwasasa ngo kwe bati baraba ama supporters benu baletuka iraina ntunguru shingulanga na yena pali unit kushe pali patumwa stopation pali choro mulera nda munkama na abalita banenu oro kwisasa ngo kwe bati lita munenu ama supporters lita imwabene bamwa bwalya ama supporters benu bamukora tukaona lita mulera nshana na yena pakya unit kushe tumwa chitaposha oro echana mbatwini kampa pusha we muntu ngore bomba campaign oro campaign kasa kwebo kweba timule instore bomba ya kushiche filimba mushop ngawaleka campaign kara kupera fionse nombanga wamba ko business ya kushiche filimba ish campaign ya funya ko yonse ama benefits ya paka nemfo oro nombaro rawango kushiche filimba bafunya ko ama benefits yobe yonse oro campaign ya sa mfo kweba tina ufwa nishi yali kupoka fionse rombala ya mfati na ofa yaisa kuli family yobe basara ndatemu kwa inafu ati turefu atumia afwe ro bakana tawe twarabo mba fionse kabiri line ambiro kuchie filimba mwalimu poka fionse kulingana na mafunde eno ya kampani ageni hasara ndatina tumfati yo tafuire bwino mwalira ndati tafuire bwino so ifwe turefu atufairi kishefi afuire tawe turekeni oro ageni semu kampani yo ine yasa ya kumocha lyo kumwabika pururu wenu nokuyase ndo mubiri atiyo ba polisi batendere omubiri n'abapanga postmortem mwishimwe bene tamurashika oro abantu romba bamfu echo baraba lerosha bushe chisuma abantu kwambo kupera ila kampani nsambu na ngukupera nsambu bene bamubiri pantu ine fona pera example yi amana yali pera pali ba government limbi tumwa ndondoro erako opo bayingirire pakwe bati babe consent pakwe bati bafayirishe mfo yafunde bakateka abashefi nimbani ba government barungo ko bare bombo kuteka abantu bali bebere okwe bati ngawamba ama politics walimo bapoka fyonso mundondoro ereko bwino ba mwamba bwali awesirimbira mu kibemba mwarondora ko limbiti ngutete ngufu ikishenatera mukwana
yo pali yo baralondola mu kibemba yo na bali shibe kibembe chashika. The first question for me is very fundamental. Your brother, Dr. Fred Membe, even issued a statement to the extent that sometimes our supporters are holding us hostage because while you leaders at the top are speaking unity and peace, your followers are engaged in this very, very strong rivalry and insults on social media. I think it will be a very important point of guidance from you, Mr. President. Hello, caller, let me take this as the last caller. Hello, mweba ashara mweba letu mabonse. Tuwalasa kwa tensaka. Tuleke wa president wasuke. Tuwaleke vale ya. Then he will be listening in. Then you can call. But you are the last caller for this session. Hello, caller, make your contributions. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Ambassador. Good evening. My name is Andrew.
Yes, Andrew.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. President KBF. Yeah, so I just want also to just add one or two things. First of all, I am comforted because I trust and believe in Mr. President KBF. He is a strategist. He is a true son of the soil. I think he has managed elections before. He is a planner. He's not just a planner, but he's a great executor. So I am comforted when he says that he's working around uniting the opposition. I think he's looking at the number 60, to 70. I think that is enough. Because obviously, not everyone.
My brother, you are very faint. You are very faint. Speak through the phone, yeah.
Then it could be the network. Then if you can't hear me, then I'll
We can hear you, but you are very faint. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think I really can't hear him. Is extremely faint. Maybe in his place we take the last call, then Mr. President, you answer. Let's take the last call. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and give us your contributions.
Hello, my name is Patricia. I'm calling you from Germany.
Patricia from Germany, make your contributions.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Bamwamba. Good evening, President KBF. I just wanted to find out how safe it is, because I heard the State Council and the President of Zambia Must Prosper mention that they are working together as opposition to collapse in one thing. And my worry is, under this UPND, is it safe for all the political parties to collapse in one political party? Or is there any strategy behind it that somehow the Zambians will come to learn where to go, or which one would be more viable? That would be my question, and pleasant maybe discussions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the callers that are calling, just give us a break. Let the president answer this question. Then I'm going to invite you. You are going to speak. That question, Mr. President, is very strategic. Many are saying, maybe first of all of you file. We see who will file successfully. Then have the talks after you are filed in. But you can start from the first callers and answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, and thank you to our viewers. Most of the calls are around this sense of unity and of discussions that we're having with each other. And I think people want us to rush. People want us to resolve matters even before we finish this. But let me pick up with your last comment to Ambassador. If you want to win elections, speaking strategically, but in a holistic sense, I don't want to go into details. If you want to win elections, the first thing any general planning elections does is to know the adversary. You must know who you're going to face. If, for example, I support Manchester United and tomorrow we're going to be playing Liverpool, I've got to understand the weaknesses of Liverpool. I've got to understand the strategies of Liverpool. Who are their danger men? What is the strength of the goalkeeper, etc., the defense, the midfield? That is how you now plan to block off some of those things. And then you arrow in what you want to achieve. So what we have done with my brother thus far is simply understand the legal framework under which we have been forced to operate. I want to sink in for a moment. Because if you're just going to stay planning, and agree, unite, but you don't understand the legal framework under which you're operating, we are going to have problems. I specifically want to address my brother Chilea. We know for a fact that PF has been attacked left, right, and center. The UPND has managed to break the PF into more or less 3-4 factions. I don't want to name them, but you can fit in the gaps and understand where I'm going with this. So the first thing we needed to do was understand why the UPND wanted to destroy the PF. Then understand what has mushroomed out of the PF and how do we use the remnants of the PF so that we can come up with a sense of unity, so that the Zambians, ichinomba mwala pange chakosa. I want you to think of those as layers of our strategic thinking. Wamunkonge has brought about a very important observation. And he says, if supporters of one section, for instance, shouting another section of the opposition, how do you bring about a sense of unity? Wamunkonge, alama politics, efo yaba. But what you must do in politics is to have a big heart. You must be forgiving. You must be understanding. Limori moma politics kula woku itoba amapi, uku itukensele, uku isevanya, but that does not mean we cannot work together again. Efo chava. Personally, I had differences with the late president, Edgar Chagolungu, leading up to the 2021 elections. But I'm glad to report that when my older brother called me before his demise, and he says, Isakuno, Isatulanshani, Chinchalu Venepali Yuenaini, and then to I have met you, me one-on-one weekly. If you have a umebachita, kwa mama apology, njele lako na iwenjele lako, then you move on. Nishmoambo kondenkana. We are going to give directives, and some of us have already given directives. A lot of you have been coming on programs like Iyabamwamba and other interviews, and I've heard some of your comments in certain areas. Wa KBF tabalanda, tabamoneka, abafo okwisa pa media nefyasha vani. Ngole man, sometimes silence tondolo musuma. Wa plana elo wasa mbana isa niebe fenale tontonkanya nefyo nale plan because ngole chita diune pondo echo waishiva ufuile waishiva kweba tingana kuwata ukalimbi kuti na ile terera ngana kuwata ukalimbi na la chita let the cat out of the bag at the wrong time so that wesa le nshirosho ndefo kubombela mo. So sometimes you go wabombange mfuko waingila panshi. Right now, we just have a few weeks before the dissolution of parliament. This is the right time now to come out and say, "Efo tule tontonganya, efo tule chitanifi." So imwenga wena Zambia, please join hands with us. Tend to wombele chapamo. Vamayoba Patricia, pamona va Charles Mbewe, muli unity and sense vaipusheli pusho. Is it reasonable to collapse all opposition into one? Teifo tulelanda tuchite collapse wonsema opposition into one. It is the framework, the legal framework which we have been given. We must work within this legal framework. Let me go a bit deeper here. If, for example, Mwaisa bat avena Zambia balefu ayo kwebat X o balefu anga president. Nshalumburi ya machina so that we don't confuse each other. X balefu ayasana avena Zambia. Number within the legal framework omotule wombela X tetemanine mulefu atuchiteshana. Those are the kind of questions tuwale ipusha in the background. X limbiali popular. Number X takwete chipani twala chitashani. Nga Y ali popular. But that's belong to any political party. We must understand that although we have political parties muchalo, please mpeni kwa matwi mungu mfwe. Although we have political parties, the political party members are the majority of the Zambians. Please understand, at the time that you won elections, 2021, there were not 2.8 million members of UPND. UPND did not have more than 365,000 members. They did not. But when the results were counted, Hakainde Hichilema got 2.8 million Zambians who voted for him. Why? Because the partyless Zambians, PF, decided to side with him. So when you're being analytical, when you're being strategic, don't just look at the amount of noise which is being made. The majority of the Zambians who are the partyless Zambians ever vote the government out, but vote an overlay fire. That must be put on record so that we understand. Therefore, Patricia specifically never munkonge. These were direct questions. So it is not just a question of collapsing. No, it is first understanding your adversary, understanding the legal framework in which you're operating, and then understanding the dynamics and the layering of thinking. Ichinga tachichitike, ichinga chitika ni chinchi. Ichinga tachichitike, nangunga chachitika musangoyu. How do we bend it to suit the circumstances so that we can achieve the intended goal? This is why I said we may not achieve 100% bonse tumfuane, kairi bonse tuwe mudi chimo. But if we achieve unity of purpose between and amongst the critical opposition players, and we come up with one goal to fight to liberate the Zambian people, to allow in my elections, because neither to allow in my elections mu 2011 tule tungirira basata ba PF tabali 1.8 million bufi members tabali icho iyo fwe bale muna pama books ni fwebo. It was because the Zambians at that time got fed up with what was happening in the MMD, and they got fed the way that Tatawa Rupia Banda, may so rest in peace, was running the country, and they thought it is time to give us a chance. This is how you win elections. But in our discussions so far, my brothers and I have said these are the perimeters within which we shall work. And if this doesn't happen, then we must fall for B. If this doesn't happen, then we must fall for plan C. That is why we don't want a lot of layerings, because we need to give the Zambians one message. No kubeba ifwe na tuishwefe balefo okutemingalato. Supporte ni uyu muntu, because once na tusumina tu umuntu otwala indananko. But the other thing we are also agreeing on is not what happened in the UPND alliance. We are agreeing to say before, not after, before, we win the elections as we will in August. Iwe ukesava icho ukesa take position ukesa, because that is also kuli uli omuntu eshibe kwebati I'm part of the team tu echo nde wombera nichi takwaba omuntu ya mukubomba fye teshibyo twa kasombola twala lufyanya, because nga twala lufyanya omuntu takwate motivation, omuntu takwate chalamu imokya voter. We need to say tulendera chapa moifwe tumoneni na tumfwana kunu mefe tukesa mitungulula manifesto tukesa bomfyani nefe tulenda nifi. And this is the leader we have chosen. This is the vehicle we have chosen. The reason for this is we don't want to split the votes. Mungu mfuikishe sana. Because if we split the votes, we've seen this happen before. The ambassador alluded to this fact, whereby the opposition, we had more votes in 2026, 2021, kuri ba Mwanawasa. But Mwanawasa still went through because at that time, 50 plus 1 takwali, and therefore all he said is Ningwina, because my opposition, although Namshta vote in majority against me, but Babachta take part in these elections, never number one. First past the post. That was then. So you had a president coming into office with only 29% of the Zambians voting for him. That's not what we want. The law right now is 50 plus 1. It's a higher threshold. And my brothers and I have agreed to reach this threshold. We must put our eggs together. We must put our brains together. Pakti tunayo bwadi ubu, tuipike omunani pamopeni, elo tuise tuwebe atumwe, eta kutebo, tuise tuikale tudie pamo. Kailocha tuikali la pansaka, musumba wa bwadi, tuilaiwe payo. We must be honest and candid with each other. So this sense of unity, it is important. But in terms of details, agreements, and what has been said behind the scenes, I cannot divulge because my brother still told. Happy to report. Now, once I wanted to encourage our Copa belt, especially DD, the first caller, and all these questions, this unity we have resolved. To feel twikatani. Ama Zambians never chula. First caller, tapeleshina. He said, day as law and order. The simple answer, Hakainde Ichilema does not believe in the rule of law. My brother, I'm being honest. Hakainde Ichilema does not believe in good governance. I'm being as honest as the sun shining from the east, setting to the west. Hakainde Ichilema wants to rely on what we term as lawfare. He wants to abuse the law. He wants the law to support him at all times. He wants to bend the law and fit himself into that law so that it is only him who has the advantage. That is why this sense of unity is important. And some of us have studied this guy. We understand him. That is why we don't want to fall into a trap and then say, ngatwali umfwana fe ngatawinine. No, we won't have a second chance. And when he's back, if you allow him for Zambia, he will be more ruthless. We are already aware that there are proposals to come and change some of our laws, including the Constitution, including land law, mining rights, and all these other things. So we can't allow this. We need to go to a reboot, go back. Echon therefore Commissioner promised each last meeting. Bill 7, the Electoral Process Bill, the cyber laws, and all these unfair laws that the UPND has enacted so that they can entrench themselves, we are immediately going to have to repeal them when we come into power. This is why we want to ensure that we have the majority in Parliament and ensure that when we move motion to repeal these ungodly, unjust laws, they are immediately. We go to a reboot situation and make sure that new and better laws are enacted. Ifingi tetina ndi okuchitira palifi kutotera filamale umfwa kutotera na baambasada pakutopera opportunity yakwe batulanshanye pali buchikubwa lero abachu bakuma prayers lelo twachumfwa efe ba Bishop Sakala bachilanda, and we are very happy we have been guided. We are thankful to Bishop Ngambi, Bishop Billy Nfula, and all those who participated in the prayers. We are Christians and we are going on our knees, and we shall pray accordingly.
Mr. President, thank you very much, and thank you for gracing this occasion. I don't take it for granted. I gave you short notice and you responded at short notice. Thank you very much for all your explanation. You can stay in the background, but we'll now allow callers to come in. I'm releasing Honorable KBF. He has a team that is with him. You know, it's late and, you know, they might require to go, but he'll be listening in. So, hello caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, am I through to the program?
Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you very much, because watching it on Facebook, it has been cutting in my area. So if
sorry.
my phone line is clear, and hope what I'm going to say about KBF will listen to it. Now, I'm Mr. Zulu from Lusaka, Mr. Zulu Thomas from Lusaka.
Mr. Thomas Zulu, make your contribution.
First and foremost. Yes, the first thing is I want to commend you, Emmanuel Mwamba, and I want to tell the Zambians that these lies that are being peddled against you, Mr. Ambassador Mwamba, that you are misleading and confusing Zambians and lying to Zambians is not on. And we support this program. We support your line of thought. We support the facts that you are putting across, which are factual. So don't worry about the state, you know, attacking you on that line, and Zambia should not follow what this regime is saying about Ambassador Mwamba. Now, my other contribution is on KBF. I know alliances are being done in the background. Some of the alliances, people are scared because they don't want to bring them out now for fear of this regime clamping down on the preferred candidates. So I'm aware that there is some discussion going on in the background. But what we want as Zambians is at the end of the day, when nominations come, those that are going to meet the conditions, because you know this government has interfered from the Registrar of Society, ECZ, the police. The whole system is corrupted. But at the end of the day, when the nominations start and we see that these are clean and they can't be stopped, of course, those that we want to go through, we'll fight for them. But we don't want to see so many party presidents fighting in to challenge HH, especially the big political parties like PF, KBF, CF, Wamembe, and the rest. We don't want as Zambians to see so many of them to be on the ballot paper. We don't want this split of votes. Because this guy, the Zambians have held on to him that he's going. So we cannot miss this chance. This is a chance that we should not miss, because the other 5 years, Zambia will be finished. Now, my other thing about these political leaders and presidents, let them move out of Lusaka. Most of them, we meet them in the malls, in churches. Today, a lot of them were at the service for ECL, you know, which is commendable. We want them now to move out to the periphery of Zambia. You know, they start now campaigning in advance.
They can't move out. They have to file in nominations first. They have to file in nominations
first.
That is
what I mean. What I mean is that when they do that, they should not stay too much in Lusaka.
Okay.
They've got their own headquarters. Most of them, their head offices are in Lusaka.
Oh, Mr. Zulu's line is cut, but I guess we got what he says. Colleagues, the lines are open. You can now make your contributions. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening. Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
This is Dr. K from Lusaka.
Dr. K from Lusaka, make your contributions.
Yes, Ambassador. It is unfortunate to what has happened, concerning the body of ECL. I think from the time this whole drama started, when we heard that statement from our Attorney General concerning Zambian government having the custody of the body, to now another conflicting statement that we got that it is not the Zambian government, but the South African government or the police from South Africa. It has been really disheartening to just see how events are unfolding, and also to see that there are no proper actions that have been taken on the part of government to ensure that, the head of state, the former head of state, is actually respected and remains secured in such a way that there is honor given to whom honor is due, like in this case, the former president. So most of us, we have been really heartbroken. Yes, we had prayers today, but we are still having that feeling, where you feel so disappointed, so low because of what has happened. And we pray that justice should be able to prevail at the end of the day, and they should be closure to this. Now, Ambassador, I just want to thank President KBF, whom we are featuring today. Indeed, I can see that this man is indeed a strategist, and having such a player within the opposition, if they unite, is such an asset to the opposition. And like the previous caller mentioned, we do not want to see so many presidential candidates to an extent where people are getting confused. But we pray that the opposition leaders will come together and they will have this sense of purpose to know that we are looking for a second independence, and that should be able to come as we desire. So I know there are maneuvers that have been engineered by Ambassador, and I'm praying that these maneuvers, these mingalatos, should not prevail. Like we prayed today, we pray that God is going to help the country of Zambia, and the leaders will guide the people accordingly, so that we do not have, such things like not having a free and fair election. We want to have a free and fair election. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Your Excellency.
Good evening.
My name is Hendrix Mkara, Your Excellency, calling you from Lusaka.
Mr. Hendrix, make your contributions.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Today, Your Excellency, I decided that we watch together your wonderful program with some of my friends at a very close market near my place.
Oh, so very nice. Very nice. Barishani abantu besu.
Barishani, Your Excellency, sure, I'm with them listening to the program.
Wonderful, wonderful. Make your contributions.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, my contribution is that when KBF Walanda Sanafi, I think he has spoken well, and that's what we need. We need the unity for all our political leaders. You've seen the UPND was given the mandate, and the mandate which was given to the UPND, they have lamentably failed, Your Excellency. The mini meal, the fertilizer, the seed, all commodities are extremely expensive. And I agree. Never watch KBF, but this government does not respect the rule of law. They're watching, Your Excellency. So our call to our leaders is that let's unite. And let's unite together the unity of purpose to remove this government, Your Excellency. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. That was my contribution, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello.
Yes, caller. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Me, I'm calling from Eastern Province.
Thank you. Make your contributions.
Hello.
Make your contributions.
Awe. You said. Awe.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Yes. Continue.
Okay, I'm calling from Eastern Province. Therefore, if you talk to the KBF for Valanda Fiance, I want to speak as an atotela.
Is that all?
No. Okay, let me continue. Tatu atotela ikatanini fofini ngafira fini ama banzi ya ikatanini. But ninkwata question kuri muba mwamba. Ishishiwe efyo chikaba bantu balandati badifunyako ama stampu then nabafunyako security. Uku ikatana twala ikatana. Twala ikatana fye bonse bantu ife basanda batata ba KBF kwebati. Bambya ba votere batata ba HH bali ba PF, which is very true. Me, I'm a PF, but I voted for UPND. But I've gone back to PF, and I'm not the only one who has gone back. But my worry is Bamwamba. Chikabashani Falanda Badifunyako ama dead stamp, then Balanda Takwakabe security. That is my worry. Mukatwafa shani pamonge ntungulu shisheso. Napuisha na totela.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and give us your contributions.
My name is Bodim Dana. I want to appreciate what President Kelvin Fu has said. You don't ask the general to divulge most of the strategies that they are doing. We appreciate that. But my other contribution, which is cardinal, we have been in these elections for a very long time. I'm an older citizen. This government has made it very impossible to disseminate information, strategies, and perspectives, what the new perspectives want to offer the Zambian people, especially in the rural areas. Not all of us are on social media. We might be in urban areas, but what strategy are the opposition using? I know we have been constrained. We're not going into the rural areas. We can't have rallies. This is the first time in my 60 years in existence in Zambia that I've seen going to an election where we've never had any opposition rally from opponents to propound what they want to tell the people, what they want to do. Ambassador, are you there?
Yes, we are hearing, sir.
Yeah. So, what strategies are the opposition going to use? You know, we've got the majority of voters are also coming from the rural areas. From whatever President Fu has explained, these are very good points. Strategies are different. But we need to know what strategies are being used to disseminate information to the rural masses who have got no access to these smartphones that we use in urban areas. Okay?
Thank you.
I've been around, I've seen elections going on. But you find manipulation of elections comes from the rural dwellings, where people are just enticed by chitenge, a small bag of millimil here and there. So within this short period of time, can they strategize with their legal teams that these laws that are barring these rallies to be held so that people can be given an opportunity to listen to opposition views. Because as we are going in, it to be CDF, whatever, whether CDF or whatever. There's nothing that is going to come out from the rural masses where we all hail from. I submit.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions.
Good evening, Ambassador. This is Mama T.
Mama T, make your contributions.
And the folk totera ba President Fube, Wadia Fube, the folk ba totera, Modifionse Fio Balando Busakasana. If this is what we've been asking our leaders, and thank you so much that you are working behind the scenes. If we fail to the fire, we've been crying to our leaders to say, we want you people to unite. So if you are talking Kunumoko for the betterment of us, the Zambian citizen, we should thank you and you should continue, and we shall also continue praying for you, our leaders, so that God Almighty will give you wisdom and fiancé fide faika. So number the President of KBF, take note of that brother who said unankane okukuzedara kulifire chitika kulimingala toire chitika ikonge ni bwangu mwema leaders. We don't want to leave any stone unturned. We want 10th August tukaeta Asha, the leader that will be chosen by you, our leaders, to say this is the leader who will go and stand with this Akainde. Do whatever you have to do because imingalato ya furisha. So naimokucha imingalato punch pajapene firiafine mwalanda ba KBF mwalanda bwino sana. Yes, we've been complaining and we should apologize because I'm one of the people who's been complaining to say our leaders are quiet. Looking at what is happening in our country, no one is speaking. Little did we know that you people are working behind the scenes. If you to the fire. Number two, lande koyoya bakabesha yo. Bakabesha barelando kwebati yo tabapele statement ya kwebati umubiri barisenda ni bena. So tatuishi benomba because ababantu na tuishi baifo kuno kuzambio kwebati babufi. And then ubufi bwabo, like I said yesterday, batwala na kuchalo chabene nomba barefu atule tunganya abaka ere ba South Africa kwebati eba pangire ifya pangike. Like KBF was said, can people from South Africa do an autopsy without the authorization ya nankane ya bakateka kuno kuzambia? If you fear na fyabufi imwamwarera ndokwebati chiri chonse chalubana ba ECL knows everything. Ero ba Akainde balando kwebati eba shushushu mukaramba eba number 1 shushushu. So shushushu mukaramba nto akano kwishi bashanu kwebati fire chitika nifi. Ero ifyo mwachitire nangumrefu ukukana nangumrefu amushiteshani na mwishi beririashi ngamwaikala panshi sana mwatontonkanya sana. Ifyo mwachitire fituntulu nangute fituntulu mwebene mweka muyipushe. Ero ifyo fine balanda bafube kwebati ukwete fyo immunity muno muchalo ni president chapwa imwe bambi mwe bashara bakabesha immunity tamwakwata mukesa tuweba nga mwafumapo mukesa tulondolwera kali na mtusambilisha imwe imirandu nangusha mu 1964 kushireta efyo mule rulinga lo yenu ula pakasa abantu yo washitireshani yo walisandolesha obubiri ade bali kumajeri oko. So tukesa mikonka na ifo fine balanda tukesa mikonka umulandu utabubola teti mukaka ulo mubiri wa former president ukwabulana respect uyo wino walipo ni nani echilenga lipana sana ino walipo ni nani pakukakaula omubiri wa former president, a man who is supposed to be respected. Mulanda titrefa kuba pera dignified nani kane burial. Is that what you call respect for the former head of state? That was very wrong. Trefa tuke shibe ba mwamba na totera mubebe ba president ba fube bakese futi bakese tukese landana bena tukaste interact na bena. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Ambassador, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Ambassador. This afternoon, I had an opportunity achieving letter yomulembele ku South African government addressing to President Cyril Ramaphosa. Then also I've read some response. I don't know the person who responded to your very important notice you had put on the forward to President of the Republic of South Africa. Number it on the fire kulandako. Ambassador Namleinga Foundation isuma sana forwarding to the Republic of South Africa. Our KBF mulated hapo inene mulelanda pano ni baloya bandi ishayirumbule nawe but nawe ishwat baloya bandi ili achitike ku South Africa wa KBF ni baloya ba Mundubile ni baloya ba Fred Membe ni baloya bengi sana maloya stukwete tetimwika lefye ichindu chachitike mwachilole shafye no kuchiposa fye pambali ichachitika mu UPND bali berelo kustefintu ifivi na perception wakwata tama Zambiani balala babwangu nangu apapene balanda fetama Zambiani balala fyala pita nilia tutila muchibembo kwatile kembwa shibosenga shabosa kashatalala elo tupite chibemba nizo sero na bonfyesho efyo babombele ififichitike mu Zambia. It's taboo, it's a scandal. Nachila umfama pepo mwachikwata kuzambia oko yachiwa very touching. Aba bantu alimubutekwa aba, they need to be exposed. Bafile baba held to accountable. So babwalia. Ba South Africa barista assume the chairmanship ya SADC. Ilili ashili. Listen, deningen tungulushi. You know, this is a time President Haga in the Ichima. He has to be about kufirima muleta pawelo amonekele pantu alibe pasana kuchalo kwati muntu inonga lenda fiaka bundi ala ichefya lenda kwati is very worry badi umutima mwabo mulilo so ilili ashiti abalungu ife ashitike teti bakabesha bale babe na Zambia babe bakwati mubiri natusenda olumaboko Yesu after bakase ngoma baisa chinja tumubita tuusendele awe ichibagwa lyande milombako abapene showing in leadership. Yes, we are in the election period but fionse fisendele ni pamo imo muime monsama opposition defa mulange leadership muime tukwandi engage South African authority kuti tuishibe. It's a sort of like we have constituted a commission of inquiries tuishibo kwebati fishi fyachitike kuwa ba Edgar Lungu uasendero mili wa Edgar Lungu kwa kumochali aba strefyo bale paulo mili wa Edgar Lungu ni wanani aba alipo ni bani lekenda bena Zambia beshibe ero nomba twalabike chalo cha pantanshi chalo chesu pantanshi no kubike fintu filale tuilashita vya fintu nga bachita first time pela kwa example bali landilo kwa dividenda ala agwela alikeneche chiyo vitanta agwela Valanda, ala stefia musangwefu, akana, wala shamata, wala kushamata, shama Zambian waikalazi. Fingi, ifile chitika, na fiachitika, ama Zambian waikalazi. Echa lengo kuti bali tubelenga manata, awena Zambia, bala landa pa social media, bala talala, tuwala tuwa stefili fionsi. Ilili ashiri, na vesa muneti, mufuile fe mwai, konga paka tuishiwe, finshi fiachitiki. Elo chimbi, babwalia na totea mwalanda bana na ama opposition ni political party badecho nalalomba kuna bambi bakula bachilomba kuli ukutukana sana other supporters and other presidential candidates abantu nga mulefo okuisa pamo. I'm appealing to the leader nga mwaikala pamo na bena. Let us seize the fire. Lekeni tulange maturity. Tekweba tunefo kwipa embo oimo. First mambo kuilasa mwewe nemifui. Kuli kulasa sana emifui. Kulalanda uyawalanda echi walanda efi. Elo uliom kashana ulia. Uwa outside. Lilian Mtambo. Ndelo mbaba KBF landeni kona ba President Mundubile abali mutonsi. Ashteko tone down. Alelanda landa sana and is not helping. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Hello, Bamamba, Ambassador. Mawombe numkwai.
Nabomba mulishana imwe.
Wino Mama Nyirenda ndes tumina kusuvalist.
Mama Nyirenda, make your contributions.
Empire lero shashafano kutumashire umfwa bwino sana. Ndefo afyo kutotera ba President Bwaliafube. Balanda bwino sana ba KBF. Na tumitotera dadi. Pantu na mumona machushi tulepitamo. Imwe bene. Nimwe mwala tufunya mmachushi aya. Ababa president ninshi Bwaliafube eba afwile sana ba HH. Batinga mwamona abantu kati Bwaliafube bafumamo nishinafi bipa. Ero Bwaliafube muntu muri wakwata omutima wakwelela. Demi totera Bwaliafube pakubweshana na balungu before tabalafwa. Efyo afwa iko muntu nga mwapusana. Ngomnobe akwita mwaranshanya. Moneni bakateka abalipo aba 4 years tunturu 5 years. No bweshana na family ya balungu. Filafine bakusene na balungu. Ili balungu bafwa. Ngatulemo napo ifya pusanako. But hawo sure. Na bataruka ku family ya balungu tawalefwayo kutashani. Shuka tefingi fya kulanda ba mwambalero. Shile umfwa bwino na esho ndefwa fya Bwaliafube ni mitotera pablo kama menga kambile mwandi.
Thank you very much. Pole nmayo mupole. Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and give us your contributions.
Oh, thank you. This is Sinyangwe Dani on the line. Ambassador Mwamba, I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Ambassador Mwamba, without you, we would not be where we are today. The biggest opposition party that we have and the person that gives information and brings people together ni mwe Mwamba. Ba Mwamba liliolo mwafumile mu Zambia lesa alipekenye. Without you, ba Mwamba, people would be just hopeless. But you bring hope. Of your KBF Balanda. KBF, one thing I love about him is a strategist. I will not say much, but I am a person today who's so hopeful. And this hope that we have, once Zambians, even the opposition leaders, what has happened to ECL? It's evil, and you can't change evil to be right. We need to get rid of this government. Thank you.
Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions.
Ambassador ni wa Munkonge wa Bwera Fena Kambi.
Mkwaiwa Munkonge.
Ambassador kuri question yo na chipusha nomba tabacha nomba stumo na sitako nkurudira ngo tabaswike na chibe pusha mukwipusho kwe batushero mure panga unit n'abaneno balita. Oro abana baba balita barabare mituka no chiba leader direct nomba ni sitako nkurudi murando wakwe bati umuntu bale pangana na unit ku background, which means ila unit kutia leta na kubana. So which means umuntu kwete abana baletuka, which means na ku background ni shitakuri unit. So na sanga answer ba ambassador kabiri tabachinja suka ye answer ndina sanga na tumapepa kwe bati ndande mumfwe na ino kutontonkanya kwandi so twara sita concentrate kuri bali abaleta unit mu background because ifire moneka kunse which means ifire bali kala ku background ukukutemwana kuri moneka kunse so twara sita concentrate na bo amalika zaba kwete ama members zaba kwete umuchinshi kuma leaders bami that wapose amano kuri abo abaletu kama leaders opona apira bama.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and give us your contributions.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening.
Ambassador. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, my brother. Introduce yourself and make your contributions.
Oh, sorry, Ambassador Anonymous.
Okay.
Charuna Chishu page. Ambassador, Usheva President Vale Mumfa KBF.
Vale Mumfa.
President Murishan.
London Vale Mumfa.
President KBF. Amashu wibashita articulate ya mfika wino sana kabiri nama callers wonsa amashu barerondora. I think icharo chonsa chirendera fipamo Ambassador ichintu fye chishere ku kuchita chakutiro kwebati ngeofi ne bachiralanda poperi ashiriya unity. I think turelomba ku kutiro kwebati ba President KBF bakateka muri bantu bamwe bo twahishwe kutira muranda bwino no kulondola yonse amashu mulondola no kumfika nafyo mfika lesa ali mipele chabupe uralondolere charo no kutira abantu pingana kwato kumfuikisha iri mulondola amashu but point naralomba ko kuri mu ba president yakutiro kwebati kale ni panshi na brothers benu bonse bakateka bonse abeminini ba honorable Makebizulu wa honorable Brian Mundubire, wa honorable Hari Kalaba, na bambi ama presidency. Iyo turelomba ko chakutiro kwebati. Ikale nife panshi mumfuani, ukumono kutiro kwebati, uwala tuafua. Alanga maoma na akapi mwebe nefye imwe, nishimwarugule ichalo. Ngafirafi ni chali pa independence, yenshita yakale. Wengi bafuayiru kutira wenga senda, ukutungururo ichalo echi bali iryenshita lero abantu bayishiretera twalane wewini kaunda ukutira bapokefe ichalo ubuntungwa tukwate no mutende mushikubwa lero nombo y'umutende tatukwete bantu unomba wishire ponyu nishonongo naye samukona ule ukufumya pofiria ife abakali balwilire ukuto watwingesa ikala kwino lero bonse babiri ba ambassador na bakateka ba KBF mwari bombele chalo. You've served before and experience mukwete ikulu ukutira limbina fobene fwe makolas fwe baletuma turelira kuli imwe ukutiro kwebati fwayeni shila muikale panshi muikatishanye alandemi ebanga chakutiro kwebati mwasalangana chila muntu abati alishi wokulandana ngulali kwata abantu mwalaipa ya fwe bantu imyewo shesu neshuko lyesonde cha Zambia ichaho cha Zambia lili mukatika unity yenu kwisa pamoimwe ero ichisuma sana mukusondwerera ichisuma sana kuri ba president KBF mwali kwata kona privilege ya kupalamina kuri ba president Edgar Lungu inshitaiya iro bale kolonga kama political parties yonso kutira ingesa pamo tuapapa tabomfenura wino mpashi mwakweke ilo mwabweshenye pamona ba Edgar Lungu ngakwali wako ma differences yo mwaumfu kutiro kwa chali mikali pamba kamiti mashenu wonse bakateka ikale ni panshi ba president KBF ba ambassador mwamba wesheni abantu pamoto apapa techalo na muchimonefe uyo ujeje banda lero ndrola ichalo nacho na ike chiture mibe chinke chakwalesa na bashima pepo bene baleka biro kutira mwinga bwera pamo ukutira bale peperere ichalo na lesa bike okubo kupali imwe wonse makamaka mwewo bonse mwentunguru shishesu bonse muri ntunguru shishesu tuli emikabiro kutira tufumyepo oyo shonongo ishire mukona ole echalo oyo mukwaiba ambassador emashuina chikwatako lero kumyebe chine ichalo nachima chirekabiro kutira bonse bawere pamo bengafumyapo oyo shonongo ishire mukona ole echalo bonse abaletukishanye ntunguru shinefyashara nabaleke okutuka entunguru shimoneni shonongo efe ishire mukona ole echalo agayinde ejilemu.
Thank you. Electoral, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba. My name is Uncle Jay. First of all, I want to give my gratitude to God for you, that God may continue to sustain you and bless you with your family for the great work that God has given you. It's good that indeed you came at a time as this one. You are a mouthpiece of hope for Zambia as things stand today.
Thank you very much.
First of all, I also want to thank God that indeed at his own time, he makes all things beautiful. It's good today to see and hear the church speak the truth and declare God's blessings over Zambia and push back the powers of darkness that have actually engulfed our country. This is good. And we pray that this is just the beginning of the greater things that God is about to do for our nation. Then I also want to thank President KBF Wariafube, an amazing person, son of the soil indeed. You know, he has actually articulated a lot of things and he's actually brought some kind of hope, because the narrative that UPND have been pushing over a period of time, which has actually been carried in the minds of people, is that there is no opposition. The opposition is disorganized. But to hear a leader come and say, yes, the other time we heard President Kalaba speak the same word, and today KBF has reinforced that statement. It gives hope to all of us as Zambians that indeed we still have hope. Regardless of what is being played in the background by this evil regime, there is hope for Zambia, and God will always navigate the way through for us.
Thank you.
As I conclude, as regard to the abomination that happened in South Africa, there is no way that they are going to clean the presidency. There is no way that this government is going to wash their hands out of this. It was a dirty, dirty, evil game that was played in South Africa, and it remains on them. At the right time, God is going to vindicate. God will vindicate the family of Edgar Chagwalungu, and this exposure has opened the door. They should not even make a mistake to think they can sweep this under the rugs. No, this remains, this stands, and this has marked their downfall. We Zambians, even as we go to vote, will never forget that we have an evil regime that we need to replace as a country that carries the light of Africa as a Christian nation. I thank you, Ambassador Mwamba.
Thank you very much. Electoral, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Thank you. Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. Kwa kaputa kuno mkwai.
Mkwai mayo, landeni po.
Natotera sana nakirafayo kutuma okwesha okulandalira kubika mpapa mepusho bantu bakira epusha ba fube twatotera sana omusango bafube balondolwera mu fufu kyonse fyabushikiriye emkwa elyo nomba napendi shuri ya kutila unity eko ili nemba pamulandu wa kutila ichichalo chileteko na ba law breaker abene bayishire baletira ifo tukalasunga amafunde mwebe na Zambia wafirwa okusunga efunde lyobe shemunganda mumobe n'abana bobe n'abena mobe wayafa okusunga efunde rango kutoba efunde lyabaneba nishi uli wefunde lyashani ukufumia corruption mu Zambia kuitwala ku South Africa kufumia chifulunganya mu Zambia ukutwala ku South Africa iyo ba opposition to apapata na mulondo la fyose fyo ba mwana wasabatire lingwina kabiri ni nebo nkwetefi apa ikatanen twa papa toku ikatano kutwa boku milomba kale nombe fibwa bwali mwalondolola chana sha kumutima wandini chamfa ko kusumina whereas my sister beswala kujema ndibachira ndati collapsing all parties in one ngo tukato tukaflasha ninga twapatu tukanya kufire fyo kubenka mayimo umwakucheitire ekintu kiwemba kitila wali bwambusa bulya uchenjele. So if Bakainde thinks yala imingala to idia kalakabe baba wasambisha ko kurubango komasako wali bambusa uli uchenjele. 1 2 imawasema opposition na mwebe na Zambia ma citizens abali in different parties hita tulifya bonse tulenda umo tulenda ichibe bache imbititila teti uwikile wapikanisha ba ifintu ifi wapikanisha yaishite yakuba pela lyala kumana wakanya autawe te ifi najandire na iverefi bukasuba myalu efu bahakainde baba every time kula yechintu ichi ushikubumbi bamila yechi ushikubumbi balandefi ngamwaresha bakabesha umwabuli nsoni bala bapiriri yo natukwate umubiri waba president lungu kunonomba. My Lord Chelo wakanati never at any one time uchichalo unobuteko bwakwatapo umubiri w'abarungu awe ifite tebo tuikalirira aba mwe bantu iluke enyukutira limbule sansa tadila twale mshila panshi in this balela ndo kutila mwe ba kisungu na agriculture ka seedling nga kakula sana kalepa takalimbuka bwino kaloma onion na tomato na cabbage mulimbula tuliko tunono elo yayalimbuka wangu palapambi nombanga kweba dichi cabbage chabala chala funga the dem kachita transplant nokuyafa yokulimba pambi chikoma nefi abuteko bwabaka inde lekeni fipwile fe muno mwine mu 2026 abe nebeka bale sesema ukutila for the first time UPNDH tilefi for the first time niba first time one party term ababantu ichikalamba tuyibapela chance nga bapita mu 2031 nishibala limba amasansa mwenenyu msalula generation inaitipwa pamfwa umuntu umwana wafyala ku bantu naonishi bana alisa pamwera pano aletila leteni akatumbi imemwe bantu bakwalesana ngupandu kwapo mwafyalwa kwali bala kusanga omusalula wa msango oyo mwapusana palupwa kwabe emfwa nemfwa ineyo namupusani napo kwabo kwita ekitumbi ati akatumbi kitumbi na mwana omunono afuyire batira omubiri wa mwana so tete aba bantu pamulandu wakutira bate mani akainde ali mu power ero beka linomba okulasalula ababambi ama citizens tuikwate ensambu tulefuna okulanda bena n'abatemu atatulelanda tetina ndishina lyandindi kuno kwa kaputa chile pwira family kwa kaputa there's more to that. I'm a Zambian citizen if we don't land. Ninebo wakuti. Ninebo mtinta hatembo. Please. So if you limbla ni sansa talila twala mishila. Chipitirira chintu ilili nani shene president ukesa. Takalekesha abena Zambia. Echo kufiano kumbi mutambira kubula yo kutu alitamba ko president, prime minister waku yuke 45 days mu prime ministerial office. Abati fuma ichi wachita chabipisha. Ebu pusano bwabu teko na kuno ku Africa wakwebati nangu muntu nalufyanyo ule miteka. Imwe ni mwe batungirire fipani mwe ma ministers ama lawyers ba bonse mulesuminisha chije chirubo mwe balesa please to apapata when you see the president doing something wrong mle bakutukira kubeba your excellency ifyawe it can help all of us bantu ifimwamuna nelo nachiruba no musango yubaka inde nabakwata bakubafwa what's his name ababa kabesha muliro akabesha muliro tabali mfesoni kunine ndeke kuyafika kulyo kulabe po mchalo mwana bene nokutina umwela ali hati umwela omulesa kuti afulwa bambere korusa mkwai chisu manato tela.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Hello, Mamba.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
I'll remain anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contribution.
Natotela Natasha wa KBF. Ndabale umfwa na ndabamuna nabalondolera ffe bwino natotela ndetotela naimwe bamwamba pamulimu oyo omwayimya wakulondola okupeera bena Zambia eri ashiri tuntu Number 3 nchirina ekikonko ilyashirya kitike ku South Africa apo ine ndeo mfaso umutima walilepuka umutola kalipa what more bamayo ba Esther what more dasira lungu what more ba Betha bantu Betha I demand justice. I demand justice bamwamba bafya kitike ku South Africa bali balu na perera papene nchirinde mfo ekikonko.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
I'll remain anonymous for now.
Anonymous, make your contribution.
I've come back. I was a little bit emotional earlier on when giving me the opportunity to speak. I've gone through these postmortem issues. I lost my elder brother. He died under mysterious circumstances. He was murdered. And me and my late elder brother, we were asked to attend that postmortem. We were asked those pertinent questions. Are you representing the family? Yes, we did. We went in there. Unfortunately, I lost my immediate elder brother, whom I went with into that postmortem arrangement. And these are emotional issues, Ambassador Mwamba.
Yes, my brother.
You've seen a grinder. It's used not to be dramatic, but this is how the Lungu family is feeling now. They're imagining it from a perspective thing. Never been in there, but what happened and the lies that have been peddled, you can't have two statements within a space of 24 hours. At one point, we want to claim that we've got possession. 12 hours down the line, you say it was not us. Only those after have gone through that postmortem, they understand. I will not go to the chest. Sorry, I can't go further. I'm sorry, Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
But I just wanted to treat the Zambians. You can't dissect a human being like that. Especially for me, it's fine. I was representing my family. That was my younger brother. And my other elder brother that I followed behind, he never lived 6 months down the line because I had to counsel him through and through. Sorry, I'm awful.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Anonymous calling from Zambia, Lusaka City.
Yes, my brother.
Yes, just to contribute on what happened, like some of us, we are even failing to understand the way the situation was, whereby they can do such a big thing without the the authority from the family or just from the lawyers, just to go and to do such a useless and unprofessional thing. And these are the people that we are expecting to lead us. Sure, we want to. In a chain for a Kambaba, it's a Mazambian, it's a Pamu. We speak one language, we do one thing. Before tabaramba kwambero lesa ishibati ababala afika kuno ama plan ya wali akaramba abantu bakwaresa tuimona pamalaiti batubikire ko tumone finto fyo babwesha apa ifo bachefya nyako Mwene fe waleta akanyama embazi yesu mu parliament. Mwene fe waleta tefi tufi shatara fi chitikapo. Apa fya muku chitikapo fitwa muku muna. Lungu muntu mwakutati. He worked. Kyose misebo tule munama hospital amashanya masukuru yosoyo muntu akura. Serious, we can treat him like this mwe bantu. We can torture him just like this, neglect him just like this. As Zambian, I call you, let's come together. We do something, please. We do something. Napapata, abatiwa Josepo. Ikuza nivazoona, in 5 years ya Peter. But better change your come, but they can persuade us they do what. They are just like that, mwe bantu. Manchi tukawasanga iibwera, basaka chita bwanji. Perhaps now they will start now killing us. Thank you, Mr. Mwamba.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Ambassador Mwasenza Bwanji.
Tasebenza mni bwanji naimwe.
Bwino, I'm calling you in Lusaka. Ambassador inenia mkila maningi vamenye makamba wali fuwe. Nifuka mapanu na mungwani ona odove biswa yanganako but nifuka ambassador kuti bawali afuwe bamenye bakamba please bagwirizane bantu aba abantu bagwirizane kulira kwatu mulungu anveri mwe banakambira bakala bayijade na beva ambassador lero bakambapo tamvera bwino nipo ngandine kumtima kwanga nine at least banipasa hope but chose ko mu kuvutika mu bantu aba baone chabe bintu baye bichitika pali baisieo ni ndani wamene angavomekeze vaso kulibe kuti konse kuli mwambo whether ni kumunzi whether ni kuti muntu aliyense pambulu wake kuli mwambo but ona ni pamene vinachitika abantu sibafuna kukambako sibafuna muntu akambeko se tikakamba maningi mailo batikonkerera batipereka ku jeli tikakamba maningi batikonkera koma bawali afubenga timumvela. Please gulizanani muganzire pali boma ni Lusambo mumvereko chifundo pali ba Chilangwa mvereko chifundo ba Lona Chitotela na benango bamene balimo please mwe bantu chifuka ngati simuzagulizana pali beva bwino vamene vizachitika kusogolo kutenda kuti chalo chatu mwaisha chitira so tenda kuti koma mulungu amingeneni mu mutima kuti imwe mwa bantu mugulizane in fact angena kudala mu mutima not amingeneni angena kudala andi pali mulungu kulibesha mechi malipeleka mwamene mwakambira before mukaliboka imwe mulungu achivomekeza kudala nachivomekeza kudala kuti ndiye bamene bizachitika muzagulizane mu ma opposition mukagulizana bintu vonse vizankala bwino ndiye chameni kambako ndiye pempho yanga amene nipempa please wafuwe. Please wafuwe. Na papata niwe kuna chitumbuka na papata wafuwe ni miyola niko chitumbuka imwe wabemba. Please mbuya. Gwizanani mwantu mtichoseko mundani muuzi ya wa jipito. Please. Mukambelanda wose bintu vizankala bwino. Tilira pano vichitika kuli wa former president wa ECL. Kulibe wamenya kondwela vame vichitika. Kulibe. Komangati mwagulizana. Ambuye mulungu. Anaikapo kudala zanja yake wanatuma kudala bangelo kuti banakungenani kudala mu mutima vonse vizankala bwino ndesha meni kamba ko ambassador msenze bwino nikuyamkia nemwe panchito yanu yame musebenza bakamba apo bajamuna kuti kuna kankala imwe sembe paibe metiziwa ndipo ndimo mwasenza na nchito ikulu sembe tichabe muchindindi paibe metiziwa bati mulungu akudaliseni konse kwamene mulili uko na banja yanu mulungu azikapo kwanja.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good evening, Ramwamba.
Good evening.
Yes, I just want to send a message to the people that have lost hope, that are crying too much. I want to remind them that God has not forgotten about us. He's watching everything and He's going to help us and is always with us. So please, let's not lose hope. Let's keep praying. We watch what is happening and we keep praying. And I want to also pray for everyone that the Catholic prayer.
Yeah, quickly. You can make a short prayer quickly.
Okay. Glory be
be to the Father, the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and give us your contributions.
Hello, Mama. You are nameless. I was not supposed to come back. Yes, I have come back because I would like to console Daddy Arabat Mapu, Bamwamba, where a man is crying like that. It's very sad. Bamwamba, when something happens within the family, it remains within the family. But not when people are reminded. Naba nabonse nabeshibokwe, but this is what has happened. It's very sad. Very sad. Yumsebanya wachiramu. Wachiramu bamwamba. Wachiramu. So ndeko kitako so abadad bachifumapu ninko ate chikonko. To see where a man is crying public like that. No, Papa did. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Cora, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. We should be closing now.
Yeah, Mumbai, thank you so much. This is calling from Livingston.
Mwewa, make your contributions.
Yeah, Ambassador, when you analyze of the happenings by Edgar Lungu and this government, I think they've gone now to extreme levels where it has become something that we Zambians cannot tolerate. Now, when you look at the whole procedure post-mortem, and also the gentleman who actually went there to sign to represent the government, this Yui, is it Yui Maketo?
Yes.
Yeah, this gentleman previously has been working from the office of the president. Actually, he was even heading Kazungura as a boss there under the office of the president. So when you see someone coming from the office of the president appearing on that register at the mortuary, that's a very simple mathematics to work around, because anyone who is working for government is headed by the president of the country. So now, this is something that we've been demanding for as a people to say. The board of the former president of Zambia, who ruled Zambia for 7 years, was stolen from a mortuary, and then it was exposed to unauthorized post-mortem. And then, Uteko Wesu, Urizi, so now, Mama Zambians, what is it that Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu is trying to show us here? Remember, Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu died on the 5th of June, 2025. And before actually Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu died, we saw what was happening to him. Mayowa Estarungu Maseos, Geti Banukula. Ukubutuka babakanya, ukuya ku hospital babakanya, and not yoku bakanya umukumu hospital. Hospital bari bakanya more than once ukuya. Even when Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu pleaded to say, please, narabo mfyoru pia lwandi, keninde ya hospital. The requests were turned down. And now, ababantu pafira Edgar Lungu. Takwa abo wanyanda papaku, nangu kuya mukumu, nangu ambassador, nangu finish kapa peneso. if our state was so concerned, they would have sent someone to go and even console the first lady, Madam Esther Lungu. Because at this critical moment, Ambassador, if you take a Edgar Lungu Nombali some few days ago, where they steal the body, they go and do the postmortem. All of us felt like more. But what is the response from government to the family to Dr. Edgar Lungu? It's quiet. What about the statement from government? It's quiet. So what Dr. Edgar Lungu is showing us here is that ababantu umwenso tabakwete umwenso tabakwete nensoni. Okay? The same way basendere mu body yakwa Edgar Lungu no bufi is what we expect mu August ukuchitika kwa Mazambians ngata tuiminine. Now KBF n'abalanda bwino sana, and is quite a patriotic citizen of this country. So bonse ba KBF abana baba Edgar Lungu. Me, my appeal is that when tungurushi ba kino cyaro cya Zambia, those of you with political parties, this is what we are fighting now is turefo kupoke cyaro cyezo cyaro kiri pakuya. It's more like cyaro cyezo has been auctioned. So now you find that ababa opposition bali foko bakateka, ababa bali foko bakateka, ababa bali foko bakateka. As people on the ground, we've been trying so hard to speak a voice for the opposition, but kumuru kuria it's like uri wonse fyare foko kuteka. Now if uri wonse ngare foko kuteka, tuye ni fine munani kare mu August we go with this kind of divisions in the opposition, we will be expecting nothing because ababantu le bombera na bena pamwa. Evantu bakubata bakwa tensoni tabakwa tensoni tabakwa teno mwenso. And then the other thing Bamamba, if you ndifo kulanda poni, one of the callers gave an insight, a very critical one, where he's saying that Wednesday the ECZ portal might be crossed. Now because of the divisions that are there, we don't even have not yet established the candidate we know nobody mean sikombira kuma councillor mayor MP even presidency. Now, Wednesday they will be crossing the port of Yama taxi clearance. And as the opposition, we are still not together. So, using your platform, which has built communities. EMV, even command center. We start creating number ama operational structures in these provinces. Ababa nama callers feba tumapa peni feba tumapa ama phone kwa papa mwamba. Maybe we can identify ourselves through provinces and then we start meeting either by phone or anything so that we start mobilizing. Otherwise we call that first our opposition babe pamobashan febe nedimbia Zambians. Once we start mobilizing, we are going to identify ourselves with someone who we know that uyu muntu nakwata umutima w'abantu. So fundero mbakufa bamwamba please lekeni EMV also iwe command center ama elections ya August so that bamwamba imwe through whoever president will be there, you coordinate us nicely so that we campaign. Otherwise we conquer na structures yesu IRPF and the other opposition political parties, you find that there is still a lot of infighting. I am a division at Pamuru, Ukuva Munduvide Badveka, Mouse and Pokuna, never don't say now in a illegitimate team Yamake Bizuru. Murisana division, and that is what is reflecting in the structures today. So if my appeal is that by using your platform, like any command center to change coordinate so that it won't be. Whenever interested, no bomba, and I can see community EMV equal. We cannot fail to mobilize elections as EMV mobilization.
Thank you very much. Family, hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Anonymous, make your contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable, it's clear people have spoken, and we are all actually, we can tell to say, Zambians have made a decision. I can assure you, my call upon the Zambians is that these people, under what circumstances, what they have done, we must make sure that wherever we go to vote, they should not even find a single vote. I can assure you these things look simple. People are quiet because of cyber. You'll be shocked when you realize that even in the southern province, people are against them. Because what has happened is inhumane. No one can accept this. No one would wish these things to happen to any of his relatives and even himself or herself. So let's just actually come together as Zambians. Make sure that not even a single vote to show them that this thing actually they have done is really bad. If I had to tell you certain things, I've just come to realize now why people are saying why the church is quiet, why the church is quiet. Some churches, Mr. Mwamba, are already in covenant with these people. Certain things, if I can disclose, I know you are going to block me, especially mentioning the churches you don't allow. But I can assure you, there was one church where actually I grew, and I've been in that church for some time. You see, what happened was we started building a church in Chilanga. And that church, we had a guard. This guard, a old man, was guarding that place. What happened one night when I was going, one night, the thieves came according to them, and they killed that man. The blood was thrown all over the premises. And that is the area, actually now we had to put a foundation now and build the church we are building upstairs there. I don't want to disclose the name, but that we are building the upstairs church there. But one thing which surprised me, the person died. That was on Wednesday. On Sunday, there was no any announcement. The police came, investigated. Actually, some of the person whom I found investigating is a person I knew and is a police officer, actually a very good brother. But not up to now, there was nothing which was actually announced in the church, not even in the public domain, not even actually so say the suspect were arrested, nothing, that's just been quiet. Now I start wondering what happened to the family of this man who was killed here. It has just gone quiet. That church, the main branch, actually, the day they were opening in the main branch, the main church, I don't want to mention, but something happened when they were opening. The ceiling board fell down and it killed somebody also in the church. So if we want to trust also to say, no, this church will speak for us, but these are people who have already gone. What JJ was talking about is very real. But let's pray. Let's pray, Mamamba, let's pray. The same way, actually, we were praying the time of the bishop being arrested. It's the same way we should pray. Thank you very much, Omar.
Thank you very much. Dear viewers, thank you very much for your contributions and for you calling. You need to give us time to rest so that we can make time and recharge and host another guest for you. When your host doesn't rest, you will not have time to look for another guest. God bless you. We'll see you on Wednesday.
What she has said, and I wish I could repeat it word for word, but we've had a long day today. All of you are looking forward to some rest. Suffice to say, may God bless each one of you, and may this not be the last. And for those of you who have doubts in the power of the Lord, you have seen for yourself. Amen. And when people pray, God answers. God has got his own style of answering. Do not feel weakened because you think God has delayed. There's a purpose why God might not answer immediately. Sometimes he answers immediately, like today he has answered immediately, but he may have chosen to answer tomorrow, but God is never late. It was on time. So mark my words, we should always look to God regardless of the situation in which we are. Everything has a purpose, and if the purpose is to enrich God's glory, so we should be grateful for it. The suffering we went through is purely to show the might of God. Yes. The loss of power by PF, like I said elsewhere today, was meant to show us how God works. Yes. And he's working. Let God continue working in your lives. Individual lives at home, community life, and indeed the whole nation. God bless you.
Wali ntungulushi yakaminemo n'amenshi watekera ekyalo mu busuma sana abantu tabayirishiye nyenge fichalo chirerire chabe na Zambia amazambians bonse balerira nomba moneni lero ko chatutwala okutusebanya kwati bonse tulindo shi umulando wa muntu fyo mumbulu amani echo ndefa yokulanda mwe mazambians bonse ngata uchirile bwino chirilo chiralukira imfa ilalukira tushipe pakulira kateka ishiwiri imbero ningalanda lya kutira kuteka ichalo mano tekusambirira kuteka ichalo mano nala mupera example yesu masani mumone kushia mfumu shia mushiri isha mfumu shia chialo tamata la mumona po ululu wa monika lero ulu wa mburumina bantu yini mburumina iyo ishinga kula panwesa mbali ya chialo kenta pale ko ingaya ndeita mazambians wonse iyi video yandi napanga iyende kuli onso mwina Zambia eyo ndela ndokutira nga chakutira mwe mazambians would not tackle the evil, then evil will not end. If the righteous people cannot tackle evil, then evil will not end. If we want seven, katulwe ubulwi ngata tuchimfisha obubulu fwe mazambians tapali umunensuke sa chimfisha obubulu fwe bene fwe tufunde okuchimfisha obubulu muna wala ikonkunsha pa chifuba kutira tibali bomba bwino ababomba bwino tibaifisa afika ku extent yakuya mukwiba ekitumbi ababomba bwino kuti bafika ku extent yakuya mukwiba ekitumbi kya munankwe nicho tababomba bwino elo bale babepa kuli bashinga ngo kutira tingo wachitefi lo ingesa pasa nomba abantu nabeshiwa ine ndeita mazambians bonse baita ti mazambians banatwikesho kuvotela UPND member nangungawa mangendalama twikesho kumuvotela pandu watu amuvotela nishitwa shitishe chalo na ifwe fwe bale votela UPND nishi na ifwe tuwashitishe chalo Yesu cha Zambia twamupele temu yimo ukutenga teka afirwa ukutenga teka echalo bwino nomba fwe mazambians 3/4 tulelilo okutira tisatekele bwino nga uti napende nchende esho limbe benga musalako batonga nabo benya batonga nabo bene bali mono kutira tumuntu wabo chipuba umuntu wabo chipuba te muntu mwine yawo byonse byalela yakukula ya mazambians tapali nango chimwe chafikirisha byonse byalela amazambians tapali nango chimwe chafikirisha nomba busu manshi twala konko kuti twinga musala uyu ifipuba finanko file musala kufyana kuti fya musontati ali bwino pantu fipuba finanko lelo wakwata fya mano 5 senses ya kufuma kumulu kuli lesa wabumbili omulu ne chalo na fyonse fya bamo tete asali oyo bamunenane bankashia ndiba mayona batata tuyesho kusala oyu muntu abana besu nabeshikulu besu bakashala bachula no wonder uyu muntu echaponene miku 6 lesa ali tulangiri okutira tute muntu okutira timwinga sala aba muntu ngali pashile lulu netampile limbi mazoka yena ngali bombere kwa fituntu te ilishiru ideli ishiru bani kainge nkapata no yo ulelumbula UPND ulelumbula echi nkamupata nkeba nabana bandi nati bana bandi chichipwa mikamilangala nacho alela yamantu anikanyama amalitarize tapali bale chula fina bakwata abana mu mayanda abana balutare sambirira tabapele ndalama bonse abali mu PF ababombere ekyalo tabapandalama namba mu nikateka omusango shani kuti na papa fina ba mama mutinta nefyo bomfana nabo kashite bonindoshi pandu umwana kashite ngwali bafu umwana kashumutunturunga muna tulete fya pokuti akubutuka numba nabo bena bale suminisha kashite bobena nindoshi epa abana ngumo bulu wabo mtunturu wabo abo mfana nabo bene mbonse nindoshi Nefwa yoko na ulo kutila bane tuyesha ukubapele voti. Ngakuti mamvu ndela ndabane ndishiru chipuba.
If I cannot move out of my country, Zambia, to go for medication at my own expense, and I'm pulled out of a plane to say go back home and die, that for me constitutes house arrest. I will not die a peaceful death if I was to die today without restoring PF to what it is. If I cannot move out of my country, Zambia, to go for medication at my own expense, and I'm pulled out of a plane to say go back home and die, that for me constitutes house arrest. I will not die a peaceful death if I was to die today without restoring PF to what it is. By the way, I've been saying to people who want me to reconcile with the president that, look, the only way we can start talking about reconciliation is for the man to begin restoring democracy. And how he restores democracy to me is by restoring the legitimate leadership into PF where we were on 23rd October 2023.
Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoto kula kuibukisha Kana depotimo Wimbo wa temenu wa katongi Awazunga watita katongi na kula kuibukisha kateka Kaibuku muna kapona Neseko siove pamenso Yangu ama umebaya Kiyaba Kiyaba ume Kiyaba ume Kiyaba Kateka wa wantu Twakulila Lelo twakulila Shika kukonke milimo shove Ale filamba Yena minta pengo sile Deti kume mopu Londolo la vale Lilo mwingi
Iseko wengi mwakwete Iseko wengi mwakwete Mwaya Mwende wino tata wesu
Katuzi muchi mokege Wali bomba kale Lomba mwatuja tuleli laki Mwangana chiba
Benda
Ukulabevyo watu tobwiki Ibisebo wapangiri obwiki Ukuchinjo lusako kumoneko busaka Mama Kutituwa na basiyani Chagwa katuse
We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate, speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV.